итогам. Так, ну результаты пока особо не радуют. Вчера немножко отыграли в плюс. Вот так, пока картина минус 30 идем с того дня, как мы начали марафон. Вообще результаты на самом деле вот такие. Тоже хотел показать. Вот, в принципе, зеленый график — это винрейт. В целом плюс, ну, последние несколько дней просто был такой как бы промежуточек не очень хороший. Даунстрик немножко поймали, но ничего страшного. Лучшие, конечно, впереди. Вот, по рейк гонки, то, что я говорил, идем на втором месте. То есть это недельная рейк-гонка, напоминаю, да, на Титан покере. Вот, кому интересно, дам ссылочку для регистрации, как скачать, и все расскажу, объясню, какие плюшки можно заработать и так далее, и тому подобное. Вот, то есть как можно первые 3 месяца делать это винрейт, еще в 2 раза свой доход увеличить. Ну, то есть, к примеру, если вы $400 сыграли в плюс, винрейт можете увеличить в 2 раза. То есть вместо 400 заработать 800. Ну, пишите везде в социальных сетях, ставьте лайки, подписывайтесь на каналы, ну и, соответственно, добавляйтесь в друзья. Буду рассказывать разные фишки и плюшки. Вот, ну что, начинаем. Как обычно, включу наш любимый ютубчик. Big Game.
This week on the Big Game, billionaire circus tycoon Guy Laliberte took on high-stakes regular Bob Voulgaris. And with over $40K in the pot, he made it another 30 grand at the end.
Just 2 chips? Is that all it is?
But with just the low end of a straight and a scary board, Bob didn't flinch.
Alright.
He scooped the pot and steadied his nerves.
Put the pressure on me every time.
And it's been non-stop action for loose cannon Carrie Burchell. She's made big bluffs.
That is a little too much. Darn, I'm gonna fold.
And bigger calls.
Oh.
Wow.
Ooh. I think that sends a message a little bit, right?
She's picking on me, I think.
Picking on you? She saw you on TV. You're the mark at the table.
Can this cannon keep making all the right moves? Find out tonight on the Big Game.
Oh, hey, buddy, what's going on?
This is OpenStars.com Big Game.
Hello and welcome to the Big Game from Las Vegas, Nevada. Alongside Joe Stapleton, I'm Scott Huff, and tonight there's almost $1 million in cash on the table as some of the toughest players in the world have come to battle here in our state-of-the-art poker room.
2010 main event winner Jonathan Duhamel is stuck but smiling, realizing he can never again complain about anything, ever.
Guy Laliberte is stuck 58 grand, but he's the billionaire creator of Cirque du Soleil, so he's probably not on tilt.
Bob Voulgaris is an experienced high-stakes cash game player. He's talked a good game and played one as well, up the most, $87K.
There'll be no sleep for Brooklyn's Eugene Kachaloff. He's down 13 dimes so far.
And this is our loose cannon Carrie Burchell, who's overcome a childhood congenital heart defect and shown plenty of heart so far this week. She's used to playing Hold'em at $1, $2 stakes, but you'd never know it, she's up 26 dimes.
Our final player is 24-year-old poker phenom Jason Mercier. He's down about 7 grand, and right now he's with Amanda Leatherman.
Jason, you seem to be having a lot of fun out there this week. Is this your type of action game?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the guys that I'm playing against, they're a ton of fun. You know, I really like Bob and Eugene, and you know, I recently met Jonathan. He's a really nice guy. And Guy is, you know, a really nice guy, and he's gambling a bit. So, I mean, it's an awesome game, and I'm enjoying it.
All right, what do you think of the loose cannon's play so far?
She's playing really well. You know, she's not afraid to make a big call, so I don't think she wants to be bluffed. So, yeah, you're going to have to make a hand if you're going to try to bomb it in on her.
All right, we'll watch out for her. Good luck.
Thanks.
Here's another look at the loose cannon rules. Each cannon is staked $100,000 to play. They keep all winnings above the initial $100K, and the loose cannon who's won the most money at season's end earns a North American Poker Tour passport worth $50,000.
Right now, the leading loose cannon to beat is Italian Massimiliano Martinez, and he set the bar high at over $163K. If Kerry does beat him, I'm sure the show will immediately be canceled in Italy. But Kerry isn't the only amateur at the table today. Guy's the guy who became a billionaire creating Cirque du Soleil and decided to learn poker in Bobby's room at Bellagio. It's the first time he's played poker on TV since 2008.
Did they teach him to raise with King 4 at Bellagio? Because that's what he just did to 1400. Bob is out and Katchalov calls.
Under the gun, yes, specifically. That's what he learned there.
Burchell folds. Duhamel makes the call out of the small blind, and Jason Mercier's in with the ace-4.
Funny how little respect an under-the-gun raise gets when it's coming from a billionaire.
Flop 9-4 deuce, couple of hearts. Mercier with middle pair and the nut flush draw. And Duhamel checks.
My guess is Jason may want to start building a pot.
Looks like he guessed right. He bets 2,600.
Guy's got middle pair as well, but he's dominated.
He was the pre-flop aggressor. Looks like he's just calling here over to Eugene.
Really not a horrible flop for 2-5s, but a bet and a call in front of him.
He kicks them in. And Duhamel's out.
Mercier the slight favorite, Guy the slight underdog.
To the turn, 7 of diamonds, no help to Guy.
Missed both players.
Jason checks.
Slowing down now.
Looks like Guy might be speeding up. Bets out 6,200 with his pair.
Guy might think Jason's given up. No shot, he folds.
Jason makes the call.
The king of clubs was folded. The king of hearts will make Jason his flush. Guy's down to 1 out.
And there it is, the king of diamonds. Guy makes 2 pair. Mercier checks.
Cirque du Soleil's newest show, Value.
And Guy bets out 17-7.
This is going to be a long tank again.
Oh, here we go.
He's even got water prepared this time. Now, some of you might be going, what tank? You've got a pair of 4s, let him go. Jason made a good call on the turn, and if he's made a read that Guy's got a bad 4 that he turned into a bluff, he'd be somewhat right. It's also possible that Jason thinks Guy may have made a good read himself, putting Jason on hearts, and is just barreling because the heart didn't hit.
17-7.
I feel like this is what it was like watching Einstein work through the theory of relativity. I feel so blessed sitting here with Jason as he's like figuring out what's going on.
Funny as that is, Bob, Jason's in a hand right now.
It's like being with a master.
Figured out what I can beat. Now I'm figuring out what you have. Or what I think you have if you're not bluffing. Value range, bluff range.
Poker humor. It's the nuts.
Value range, king 9, 9-7. A set somehow.
I liked it better when you're figuring out what you could beat. It's more exciting to me.
I can beat 3-5 and like ace-5.
3-5. That's tough to beat. 3-5.
Yeah, I know.
Not low.
Yeah. Worst hand possible. Beat all missed heart draws as long as you don't have a king in there.
So cute. Jason's doing his impression of Daniel Negreanu.
17-7.
If you care at all about being good at poker, it's pretty amazing to watch these guys do this, like a nature show.
I think Guy's got a trank gun under the table.
By the way, Tony G'd be having a heart attack right now.
Yeah, I know.
He'd be going insane.
And Mercier's going to let it go.
You're the one who got bust.
What?
Qua?
You had the nut flush draw?
Yeah. Oh, me? I had the nut flush draw. Ace-4 hearts, yeah. Good fold?
I think, yeah. I draw on all you.
You drew out? Oh, you had a king high flush draw?
No, I had 2 pairs with kings.
Oh, okay, okay.
King 4.
King 4.
Suited.
So as Guy takes down the first hand of the night, let's go over the rules of the big game. Each table lasts exactly 150 hands. The action pre-flop is pot limit and becomes no limit after the flop. Blinds are 2 and 400 with a $100 ante, all of which is paid by the player on the button. and every player begins with at least 100,000 but can rebuy for up to 500K.
The big rule change this season is that our loose cannon cannot come back after they've played the week's 150 hands.
I had King 7 of clubs. I always Donkey Kong. I like that Donkey Kong.
Bob's talking about leading into the aggressor, or it's a joke about firing barrels.
Lucky it wasn't a 4. 4 would have been a good card for you.
Action will start on Bob. Ace tray. Lets it go. Eugene out. Loose cannon Carrie Burchell, 8-7 of clubs.
A fine hand to play in late position, but she's going to want to come in raising.
And she does. Raises to 1,700. Duhamel, a couple of 4s on the button.
Duhamel in late est position.
And he will just call. Mercier out. And Guy with the tray deuce lets it go.
Statistically, these two are racing if they see all 5 cards, but Carrie's out of position, and if she catches a pair, it'll be tough to tell it's the best hand.
9, 10, 5 on the flop, couple of spades. Burchell is up and down. Duhamel's pair still good, and the cannon checks.
I think the cannon probably should have bet there. We know he may have called for just 1 bet, but there's a chance he wouldn't, and she can start building a pot in case her card hits.
Duhamel fires 2,300.
Carrie's also now given up the lead.
And she'll make the call. These two have just not been able to stay out of each other's way this week. Turn. King of spades. No help to either player. Burchell checks.
The board gets worse looking for 2 4s, though technically Duhamel picked up more equity with his spade draw.
And Duhamel will check. To the river. 10 of diamonds.
Duhamel did give up the betting lead on the last street, but Carrie leading out here might look strange to Jonathan.
Well, she's missed everything, but still fires out 6,200.
I think she just gave him a stroke. This bet might look weird, but Duhamel can't even beat bottom pair on board.
And he'll let it go. Carrie pulls off another bluff. She'll drag a pot worth 15,400 and add to her profit.
Interior, Jerry, Elaine, Kramer, and George are all sitting in the coffee shop. Speaking of, Carrie's been a real master of her domain, getting all kinds of credit.
And the action will start on Carrie here. Cannon. 8-4. Chucks it in. Duhamel out. Jason Mercier with the 8-5. Why not put in a raise to 1,200? And Guy quickly calls with the king-queen.
I heart king-queen. It's the nut connector. Don't laugh. And it makes a great top pair.
King-3 for Bob. He's out. 10-9 for Eugene. Repops it to 4,600. Jason quickly out.
44 more? 34 more. Okay, let's see it. Let's hit a flop. I like my button.
Always a showman.
Guy makes the call.
No, maybe I'm starting to regret. Thought it was 33. 34 was just like the price I was not ready to pay.
Flop ace, ace-7, rainbow.
Eugene's trying to play a bigger pot with a quote-unquote amateur. Let's see how big he wants it to get with the 2 aces out there.
Eugene checks.
Guy does have the best hand, the nut-nothing, if you will.
And he checks. Jack of diamonds on the turn.
Guy picks up a gut shot, as does Eugene. Eugene has one of Guy's blockers.
And Eugene fires out 5,600.
Looks like Eugene might not think Guy would check an ace on that flop. Now, before everyone goes calling Guy a donk for thinking about making this call, hands are usually polarized when there's 2 aces on board, so if Eugene's bluffing, which he is, then Guy would be ahead, which he is. And if Eugene does have an ace, Guy still has gut shot outs.
Guy makes the call.
Nice read by the billionaire.
So we'll see a river. Tray of spades, and that was such a brick you could hear it. Catch-a-love checks.
Check.
You got it.
No, whoa. I just asked a question. Check.
Check as a question.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
I was betting, but
He said you got it, so he's probably going to win if you bet.
You can bet 500.
I haven't worked through the hand yet like Jason has, but...
And after an odd little moment, Guy will take down the pot, shows the king-queen.
I was beating you, right? I was ahead.
You were. Quick, you got it.
See, king-queen wins even when it's the nut-nothing.
That's right, king-queen takes the money, and La Liberte got Catch-a-Loff. And we're just getting started. There's plenty more action when we return here on The Big Game. Welcome back to Las Vegas and the big game, where amateur Carrie Burchell has been staked $100 grand to play against a table of seasoned vets.
You ever play any poker tournaments?
Not any real big ones, just small local.
Smaller ones.
Action will start here on Bob Vulgaris.
Bob's still not convinced Carrie's an amateur.
Looks down at Jack Deuce of diamonds. Lets it go. Kachalov, Trey Deuce of clubs. Raises to 1200. King Queen for the cannon. Shuffle the deck.
King Queen is poker's original power couple, like Brangelina. Maybe we can call it Keen or Quing.
Well, she's calling it a 3-bet. Makes it 4,300. Duhamel quickly out. King 10 of diamonds from Mercier. And he folds. La Liberte, Ace 9 of clubs in the big blind. And he makes the call.
Eugene was raising Guy's big blind. Now he's got 2 amateurs for the price of 1.
Makes the call.
I mean amateurs in the literal sense, not figuratively like amateur hour. They've both been playing very well.
So we'll have 3-way action to the flop. 8, 10, 6, couple of hearts. Guy flops a gut shot, but his ace high is still good so far. Checks.
Should check around to the 3-better.
It looks like it does over to Burchell.
What's it going to be now, loose cannon? Give up because you missed?
Not likely, Joe.
Burchell, more like bombshell because she knows how to bomb it.
Makes it 11,100.
Guy actually had less when he floated the last flop with King Queen.
Can be tough to bluff a billionaire. She does. And Kachalov out.
Carrie takes it down with Queen.
That's right, her C-bet gets La Liberte and Kachalov to go away quietly. And although the quiet Kachalov doesn't say much himself, everyone in the poker community can't stop talking about this talented pro.
Eugene has taken the poker world by storm the last few years. He just keeps getting better.
I think that he plays the game the right way. I think that he has a lot of talent. Eugene is clearly one of the best unknown poker players in the world. Eugene is well respected by everyone, not just for his tournament prowess, but he's also a cash game winner. But he's really the real deal in every aspect.
To have great players talk so highly of me, it kind of confirms all my thoughts that, maybe I'm doing something right. It makes me feel like I'm actually succeeding in poker and makes me want to continue. I expect things like this to come and TV shows and other types of offers to come as I get better and as I get more results. So I guess the more you win, the more recognized you'll be. I'm gonna add money.
Great, Eugene's adding on another 100K. Now he can pull the move I pitched him.
What?
Well, I was born in Ukraine, right?
Yeah.
Well, I told him his catchphrase should be, I'm gonna make it Ukraine in here. Like make it rain.
Yeah, I got it.
That's exactly what he said.
Action will start here on Carrie Burchell with 6 Trey. Folds. Duhamel, 7-5. And he's out. Jason Mercier, 8 deuce of spades. Bumps it to 1,200.
Getting loose in the cutoff.
Guy on the button with ace queen. That looks like a 3-bet to 4,300.
Guy's punishing Jason's loose cutoff range.
Bob folds the jack 6 over to Eugene. King queen, I'm asking for a setup.
Queen again, suited this time. I heart King Queen suited even more. It's a hand so good it's like getting 3 cards.
Eugene agrees, makes the call. Mercier out.
Unfortunately, right now, Queen is dominated.
So it's Guy and Eugene to the flop again. Ace 8-3, couple of clubs. Eugene flops a flush draw and checks it.
Top pair versus nut flush draw. Yes.
He fires 7,600.
Well, Eugene certainly isn't folding, and he might even be considering a raise. If Guy's actually ahead, which he is, Eugene's got a lot of equity. If Guy's bluffing, the king-queen high could be the best hand. He knows Guy doesn't necessarily have to have an ace to bet this flop, but Guy did 3-bet pre-flop, so that narrows his range quite a bit.
Kachalov just calls.
Queen never loses, by the way, Scott.
Turn. King of diamonds, now Kachalov with a pair. Checks.
Eugene's caught up a bit, but still isn't beating an ace. Guy should be able to bet this again.
Check.
But he checks it.
Guy is pot controlling in a spot that doesn't really need it. Pretty unlikely that king changed anything.
4 of spades on the end, no flush for Eugene.
Guess Guy's check will maybe convince Eugene it's safe to bet now.
He does.
Call.
And is insta-called.
Guy did make some money, but I think in the end Eugene got off easier than if Guy had bet the turn. Who knows, though?
Guy will drag an almost $50,000 pot.
It's like, ace king or whatever.
Not sure what Guy's mumbling about, but he's probably thrilled he beat King Queen. He's never supposed to lose. Queen.
Couldn't let that one go, huh?
Couldn't help but chase.
So Guy gets richer, which seems totally unfair, as he pips Kachalov's King Queen. Eugene with lots of time to try to get it back when the big game returns right after this. Welcome back to Las Vegas and the big game. There's over $1 million up for grabs on that felt as we cue the mood lighting.
Ooh, I like the light blue.
Thanks, Bob.
Very nice.
Thanks again, Bob.
Keep this one. Yeah, it does. I feel safe. I feel safe.
It's like they're playing on C-Lab. I keep expecting a dolphin to swim by in one of those panels.
Duhamel raises to 1,400 with a couple of 10s.
Jason's been riding the bench for a while. Looks like he's ready to get back in the game.
With 5-3 maybe.
It's a suited connector, Scott. Don't scoff.
Not scoffing. It's your job to judge. Raises to 4,300.
I was ready to play with you, Jonathan, but somebody got in and trashed the party.
La Liberte folds, as does Bob Vulgaris.
It's not a nice way to treat a guy just because you don't like the way he pronounces his last name.
Folds over to the cannon, who lets it go. Now it's back on Duhamel.
Well, he's definitely not folding.
He'll make the call.
Jason's a big dog, but he's got position.
And these two have won over $14 million combined in tournaments. 6-3-4 pair and a straight draw for Mercier.
From big dog to coin flip, that's the Jason Mercier story. No, literally, it should be the subtitle to his biography.
Duhamel checks.
Great spot for a C-bet. If Duhamel had air, Jason would likely win it here, but as it stands, if Jason bets, when he gets called, he'll have more than half the equity in this pot.
Mercier bets 5,100.
I said when Duhamel calls a second ago because I doubt we're going to see Jonathan fold for one bet in a 3-bet pot with no overcards on board.
You are correct, sir. He makes the call.
Jason, the champ is eyeballing you.
Turn 5 of clubs, 2 pair for Jason Mercier.
Jason Mercier runs good.
Duhamel checks.
Jason shouldn't be too afraid of the 4-card straight out there, but it does leave Duhamel with some counterfeit and chop outs, so Jason will probably want to bet here.
Wants to and does. Makes it 11,200 to go.
At this point, Duhamel laying it down gets a lot more reasonable. The board is pretty ugly, and he's likely to face another big bet on the river.
Duhamel lays it down.
Probably weren't expecting me to bet there, huh?
Yes and no.
Good fold.
So Mercier wins a medium-sized pot by being the luckiest guy ever.
Jason takes it down, and as we can see, he's scooped almost a quarter of the pot so far this week, but Mercier is still down 12 grand. Everyone else's stats are very close, within 4 percentage points of each other. I'm particularly impressed with our loose cannon Carrie Burchell, who has won her fair share of the pots at 16%. She's now sitting pretty in more ways than one, currently up over 39 grand and playing as good as anyone else on the felt.
Action will start on Jason Mercier with William and Kate.
Well, they are making the rounds like it's the royal wedding, but actually, Scott, they're a duke and duchess, not a king and a queen.
Mercier raises to 1,200.
With queen.
Bob Vulgaris, Jack 6, folds. 9-5, Kachalov out. Cannon with 7-4. Makes the call.
Yikes, 7-4 offsuit, out of position. Misclick?
5 deuces spades for Duhamel. And he makes the call.
And right after I got done singing Carrie's praises, too. Woof.
6, king, 10, couple of spades. Top pair for Mercier, Duhamel with a flush draw.
Told you, king, queen makes a great top pair.
Burchell checks. Duhamel checks.
Checks his baby flush draw. No reason for Mercier not to bet this. He can start value betting right now.
He will. $2,600 worth.
Maybe Carrie's call was a pre-flop float, but this would be a bad time for her to try to make a move.
And she doesn't. Lets it go.
Duhamel and Mercier again. I'd expect Jonathan would want to take one off here.
Looks like you're right, Joe. He makes the call.
Mercier, get over yourself. It's Mercier.
Turn. Tray of diamonds.
Duhamel picks up a gut shot draw as well.
Checks it.
Mercier should be able to bet this again to keep Jonathan paying the draw. He'll come around to it eventually.
No quick decisions this week from Mercier. This no exception, but he does fire out 7,100.
This is a big bet, and even though he's picked up gut shot outs, Jonathan is not getting a great price to draw. A check raise could sometimes work in this spot as a way to just take it down or give himself a better price. Jason's given him a little better than 2-1, and as you can see, he's a 3-1 dog.
Duhamel makes the call. So he'll pay to draw. River, 5 of clubs.
This is probably the worst card possible for Duhamel, since it might get him to commit money to the losing hand.
Checks it again.
None of this should be too scary for Jason. Only 2-4 and 7-4 came in. Didn't Carey fold 7-4 on the flop? Ooh, too soon. Anyways, I'm not sure how much Duhamel will call off, if anything, but hey, that's Jason's job to decide, not mine. I just get to criticize him after.
Last chance for value here from Jason. Bets 18,700.
If we take this all the way back to the flop, Jason raised from pretty early position and he's been betting the whole way. This would indicate strength, but it's also possible Jason would play a missed flush draw the same way. It just so happens that Jason probably has near the bottom, if not the bottom, of his range for value betting hands in this spot. Duhamel's never beating a value bet, but he is beating all Jason's bluffs.
And he seems to be having some trouble giving this one up.
Where is the scuba gear? Because Duhamel is in the tank. He's stuck pretty big today, and you can tell that he's just second, third, and fourth guessing himself. Fifth guessing. Sixth guessing.
Duhamel makes the call, finds out he's not a hero. Mercier is going to take it down.
It's not so much Mercier as it is Quing.
And Mercier is going to drag a pot worth $61,000.
It's only because somehow Mercier didn't win the main event, so now the poker gods are finding a way to get him some of that money. And like all good main event champions, Jonathan Duhamel giving back to the poker community.
I hate you.
What?
I hate you.
Folks, hate is a strong word, but then again, that was a strong river bet from Jason Mercier. We'll be right back with more Big Game after this.
I hate you.
Welcome back to Las Vegas and the Big Game, where Bob Vulgaris is our big winner so far, thanks mainly to that big hand where he flopped trips and river to straight against Guy last night. Our loose cannon is up over 37 grand, and Jason Mercier is up almost 18K.
Everyone else at the table is in the hole. Billionaire Guy La Liberte is down just 14K, while Eugene Kachalov has quietly dropped 50 large, and Duhamel just added on another 50K because he's now stuck 80 dimes.
Alongside Joe Stapleton, I'm Scott Huff. We've seen roughly half the hands this week, and now it's time to check the stats and break down the numbers. Joey?
Sure thing, Scott. First up is our loose cannon Carey, who's been playing like she belongs in the Rain Man suite. In fact, if you compare some of Carey's key numbers against the average of the other 5 nosebleeders at the table, you'll see what I mean. Her VPIP is just below the combined table average at 31%. Carey is calling pre-flop raises 28% of the time, which is exactly the average of the remaining 5 players. And though the rest of the table has seen a flop 29% of the time, Burchell is just slightly behind at 26%. Those are some pretty big numbers for a loose cannon.
Well, Joe, Carey doesn't seem to be intimidated at all by the players or by the high stakes.
She fits right in, Scott. In fact, if you removed her name from the top of her stat sheet, you may think she's just another pro. Now let's take a look at how aggressive this entire table has been playing after the flop. The majority of the table is in the same ballpark. Eugene Kachalov is the second most aggressive at 3.7, but what clearly stands out is that Jason Mercier is leading the pack with a 6.7 aggro factor. Jason is dominating the table in free betting. His VPIP shows us that he's playing nearly half the hands dealt, and his aggressive style has led him to win nearly a quarter of the total pots, though in tournaments,
he usually wins about 97%.
Well, Jason really has asserted himself as the table captain throughout this week. But Joe, what's with the 300-pound gorilla in the 4 seed?
I have no idea what that means, but Guy Laliberte is just your typical French-Canadian street performer turned billionaire space tourist action junkie. Action junkie, yes. Aggression junkie, no. Despite having the second highest VPIP at 38%, Guy is only raising pre-flop 15% of the time and retreating to passive play post-flop with the 5th lowest aggro factor of 1.4.
Well, it can't always be clowns and tight ropes.
Oh, the Zoomanity.
Zoomanity's the sexy one, right, Joe?
Erotic, I believe is the word.
Actual starter in Duhamel, 6 tray, folds. Mercier, queen 5 of spades. He'll raise it, makes it 1200.
That might look a little loose, but it's the cannon's big blind he's raising.
Laliberte out. Long look for Vulgaris with 5-4. Folds. And Eugene quickly out. Don't worry, the cannon will call. 10-8 of diamonds for Burchell.
That's a little bit of a loose defend.
Flop, queen, tray, 6, 2 hearts. Mercier with top pair again.
Check.
Go ahead.
Burchell checks. And Mercier checks.
Very sneaky.
10 of spades on the turn. Burchell with a pair. Checks again.
Good check.
Mercier fires 2200.
This was a bad turn card for Carrie. She may think she has the best hand, but it would be pretty out of character for her to spaz out here.
And she doesn't, makes the call.
Playing cautiously.
River, 5 of diamonds. Mercier has 2 pair now.
Carrie River's a flush draw. Looks like she's loading up for a bet.
5400.
Now Carrie comes out firing, and I don't really know what this bet is trying to do. It's tough to get called by worse, tough to bluff out better, so I'm not really sure what it's supposed to do, but what it's very likely to do is induce a raise.
There it is to 21,500.
Big raise. And Carrie made a very thin call with 1 pair when Duhamel tried to bluff her earlier in this session. Jason could be remembering that now and hoping she'll do the same thing here. It looks like Carrie might be getting leveled into thinking that Jason's just pushing her around.
We wouldn't know, though. We don't get the benefit of her inner monologue like we do with Jason every time.
Not everyone can be a Negreanu. Carrie bet less than half the pot on the river, which maybe she's starting to think Jason could have read as weak, and that he's just making a play. I think there's been enough clues that Jason's got a hand that Carrie should probably be able to get away from this. And at the moment, she's got less invested in this hand than the amount of this entire river bet. If she calls, her profit will be almost non-existent.
Call.
She calls.
You said call?
I said.
And she's not going to like that.
Brutal. I give Jason a hard time for running good, but the kid knows how to play as well.
So Mercier takes it down, and our loose cannon takes a $25,000 hit to her stack, but says nice hand and moves on like she's just playing 1-2, Joe.
Classy.
Mercier now up over $42,000, while our loose cannon Carrie Burchell is now up only $7 grand. Can she rebuild her stack? Find out when we return right after this. Welcome back to Las Vegas and the big game where amateur loose cannon Carrie Burchell just took a massive hit to the profit she had accumulated, but we still have 72 hands left to play out in this week's 150-hand session.
She does still have a small profit, about 7K.
Action this time will start on the man who beat her out of that last pot, Jason Mercier. King 8, lets it go. Guy with 9-6, folds. Bob Vulgaris, 8 tray, he's not interested either. Eugene Kachalov with King 3. On the button, raises to 1,200.
Crappy hand, but it was an unopened button.
9-6 for the cannon. Calls.
That call is at best questionable. Carrie may be coming unglued.
10-7 of hearts for the 2010 main event champion, Jonathan Duhamel. Raises from the big blind to 5,200. Kachalov out. And Carrie out.
At least she didn't throw good money after bad. The squeeze takes it down.
So 23-year-old Jonathan Duhamel takes down that little pot, but earlier tonight he played a big pot against 24-year-old Jason Mercier. What were they both thinking? Find out as we go behind the poker face.
At this point in the game, I've been playing a lot of hands and kind of building up some momentum.
Jason's been playing pretty aggressive, like we all expected.
I opened under the gun with king-queen off.
Now he's under the gun and raised to 1200. Everybody folded to the loose cannon and the small blind who calls. I look at my card, 5 deuce suited, just figured out good hand just to try to make a big pot with, and I got like position on the loose cannon, so I just called.
The flop came king 10-6 with 2 spades. Carry check.
At that point I thought about maybe like betting, like maybe hoping Jason raised me so I can 3-bet him. But I just figured out that he is gonna call most of the time and I'm gonna be like stuck in the turn, so I just check.
So I bet 2,600. You know, obviously trying to get value. I can possibly even get 3 streets if the board runs out good.
Loose cannon full. At that point I thought about raising again, but I kind of felt that if he has a king or maybe even a 10, he's gonna call me there, so I'm gonna have to like bet pretty big on a turn and river to make him fold. So I just called there.
I'm pretty sure, you know, I have the best hand like 90-something% of the time.
Turn card is enough suit 3.
Which is a beautiful card because now I can definitely go for 3 streets.
Now I gotta check because the way the hand was played out. So I check and he bets, you know, good bet.
I made a little bigger of a bet than I probably normally would just because I felt like he was definitely gonna call the turn and maybe call the river. So I bet 7,100.
At that point I really didn't know what to do. You kind of knew I didn't have a pocket pair because I would call a lot faster pre-flop and I kind of hesitated before. So I really think he kind of knows I won't have a set. So I called there.
And then the river came in offsuit 5. It's such a great river card because, you know, every draw missed. Queen Jack missed, all spades, any gut shot pretty much missed. And he checked again, and I decided I was going to bet, and I bet 18,700, just hoping to get called.
I really thought that with a kind of a King Jack, King Queen hand, he's going to check a lot of times. I kind of felt it was a semi-good time to make a kind of a crying call in the river, because I thought my hand could be good. There was like so many busted draws that he could have, and I kind of felt he's going to probably check back, kind of just a king, a pair there. So I call it, but he turned King Queen for you know, top pair and Queen kicker.
I think he called me pretty light, maybe with bottom pair, like a 6, but I'm not exactly sure what he had. But, you know, the hand played out perfectly for me.
A hand worked out perfectly for Jason Mercier. Were the cameras rolling? Did we get it on tape? I don't want to say Jason Mercier runs good, but I'm pretty sure he could win the New York Marathon.
Guy Laliberte with Jack 10. Raises to 1,400. Bob Vulgaris with Ace 10 of spades.
Bob's been relatively inactive lately. A big suited ace should be enough to wake him up.
Makes the call. Kanchelov pitches it. The cannon with Trey Deuce.
I don't hate it on the button. Carrie gets to see what everyone else is going to do before she has to act after the flop.
She makes the call. Duhamel out. Jason Mercier with Queen 4 lets it go. 3 players to the flop.
None of whom would claim to be professional poker players, so technically Carrie has the most bracelets.
10, 8, 7 rainbow. Bob and Guy both with top pair. Guy fires out 4,300.
Wastes no time betting it. Bob's also got that top pair, but he's got Guy out kicked.
Just calls.
Carrie's got the nut low.
And Burchell will leave it to the 2 Canadians.
It's a Canadian mating call.
Turn 3 of clubs.
Changes nothing. Guy looking like he wants to fire at this again. He's got top pair as well as a gut shot.
And why shouldn't he? He's playing $2.5 billion behind. He bet 8,100.
It's a pretty big bet, but the board didn't get any worse for Bob, so I don't see how he could fold now.
Bob makes the call.
Guy drawing awfully thin.
So we'll see a river. 7 of spades pairs the board. He fires again, 16,000.
I just got value town big time, I think. Yep. Population 1.
Great school districts in Value Town.
Population 1, Huggy. Value town, population 1.
And no traffic.
Yep. Welcome to my world. 16. What can you do with 16,000? You can do a lot with 16,000. You can go to like...
Not a space, for sure.
Not space, no. I don't think so.
Count that one out.
Scrap space, yeah. I can maybe like change the oil in the Bugatti.
Bugatti's a $1.5 million car.
Barely. Barely.
Guy has 2 of them.
All right, here's the oil change for you, Guy.
10.
I gotcha.
Then Bob wins.
Oh, yeah. Ugh.
That's the sound of a Bugatti breaking down.
Slow roll.
Slow roll.
Slow roll. Come on. Knit roll. Knit roll, yes, not slow roll. I mean, he's bet. I mean, I can beat that hand.
Now Guy's Bugatti may go hungry.
If Bob can keep it up, he'll be able to afford the oil change and a new air filter for the Bugatti. Can anyone stop Bob? Find out when we get back on The Big Game. Welcome back to Las Vegas and The Big Game. Cards are in the air.
Bonne digestion.
What's that, bonne suggestion? Good idea.
Wow, thank God he wasn't saying bone suggestion. That would have been weird. And what the? King Queen again?
Of clubs for Vulgaris, raises to 1400, Kachalov out.
Poker's original power couple, I call it Quing, suited.
Cannon folds to Duhamel with Queen 10. I guess that would be Quen, Joe.
No, that's just dumb.
Thanks, partner. Duhamel reaching for chips. Calls 1400. And Guy calls with rags.
Very loose defend from Guy. Must be a blackjack player.
Lucky he doesn't have to double down in this spot. Flop. 6-Jack-6. La Liberté checks.
Over to Bob, who has the best hand. And also he has the best hand. Let's see if he c-bets.
He does, 2400.
Duhamel's got nothing but queen high and a backdoor straight draw.
Well, he's got a can-Duhamel attitude. Makes the call.
Nice float.
La Liberté's out.
Doesn't Duhamel know he's up against Quing? He has no shot.
No, we're the only ones who can see the whole cards, Joe. Ace of diamonds on the turn.
Both pick up a gut shot. Both have a blocker for the other.
King-Queen. Still the best hand, Joe.
Quing.
Bob bets 5,700. Duhamel's done with it.
Bob was bluffing, but his nothing was better than Duhamel's nothing, so good full Jonathan. You know, I'm not really comfortable calling King-Queen nothing. I mean, it's Quing.
And it was worth 15,000 to Bob on that hand without even having to pair it.
So Scott, King-Queen or Quing takes down another pot, and here's what I can tell you about the history of Quing here in the big game. Since the very first hand dealt in Season 1, it appeared 173 times, and players go to war with it. King-Queen has seen flop 73% of the time, and if we look at its combined success record pre-flop and post-flop, we learn that it's not a winning hand. What? With 84 wins to 89 losses, that can't be right. But here's where it gets fun. When it has lost, it's been for a lot less money than when it's won. So when it comes to the stat that counts the most, Quing is a profitable hand with almost $500,000 to its name here on the big game.
I feel like I'm watching Game of Thrones. Burchell, pocket queens, all the single ladies.
That was cool. I want to do more of those.
Raises to 1,800.
Oh, now I want one with queens.
Duhamel folds. You get everything you want. I'm sure they'll do it. Ace-4 for Mercier.
Evian's just better for my voice. Jason's got position on the cannon.
Calls 1,800.
Guy's got position on everyone.
And that guy never stops smiling, and why should he? King 10 of diamonds. Calls 1,800. Bob Vulgaris with the ace-deuce.
Weak ace out of position. Action in front of him still.
Lets it go. Jack 9 of clubs for Eugene Kachalov. Takes the call.
And all you need to know is that joke was so good we couldn't air it on TV.
So we'll have four-way action to the flop. Trey 4. Kachalov checks.
Jason paired his 4. Everyone else missed pretty hard. Still, Carey should bet this.
Bets 6,600.
Jason does have top pair.
And lets it go.
A little surprising. Carey gets mad cred, yo.
Guy out. And Kachalov folds. So Carey will get some back.
Carey came off a bunch tonight, making an incorrect hero call against Jason Mercier, but she got right back on the horse, and look at that, she's stacking chips again already.
So our loose cannon will finish the night with a profit of almost 12 grand. Bob Vulgaris continues on cruise control. He's up over 123K.
Mercier's up 40 dimes, while billionaire La Liberté is down 46. Kachalov can't seem to win a hand. He's stuck 50 large. And the main event champ is not doing well in our cash game. Duhamel is down over 78 grand.
All right, guys, that's it for the night. Carrie, you had a bit of a rough night. Are you still confident?
I'm still confident. It's just a slight miscalculation, but I'm still up. It's okay.
Not nervous?
Never.
Still good?
Still good.
Jason, when are you and Bob going to go head-to-head? That's what I want to know.
What do you mean? He beats me every time I play a pot against him.
Well, you're up a little, but he's up more.
I know, he's killing me.
Am I needling you too much?
No, it's fine. I can take it.
All right, guys, that's it for tonight. I'm Amanda Leatherman saying goodbye for now. And remember, if you've got the cash and the guts, there's always a seat open at the big game. Good night, everybody.
So Bob Voulgaris holds court another night on the big game while our cannon slightly wilts. See if she can spring to life tomorrow night. For Stapes, this is Huff saying so long from Vegas.
What's up, Eugene?
Not much. Trying to see. I guess I'm going.
With who? The loose cannon? Do you want to get something going with the loose cannon? No, I mean, like, not like that. You know what I mean? Like her chips.
Her chips.
Is there a bounty on my chips?
You want to pull up a seat? Pull up a seat.
I wish.
The following program is sponsored by PokerStars.com. Last time on the big game, it was a night of tough showdowns. High-stakes regular Bob Voulgaris went up against billionaire Guy Laliberte.
16. What can you do with 16,000? I can maybe like change the oil in the Bugatti.
Barely. Barely.
All right, here's the oil change for you, Guy.
10.
I can beat that hand.
Poker pro Jason Mercier put 2010 main event champion Jonathan Duhamel to the test for over 18 grand.
Wow.
I hate you.
An amateur loose cannon, Carrie Burchell, also played a big pot with Mercier.
Call.
You said call?
Yes, sir.
And lost almost all of her profit. With a fearless loose cannon and a table full of veterans, will the fireworks continue? Find out tonight on the big game.
Yep. Welcome to my world.
This is PokerStars.com Big Game.
Welcome to the big game from Las Vegas, Nevada. Alongside Joe Stapleton, I'm Scott Huff, and tonight there's over $1.1 million in cash on the table as some of the toughest players in the world have come to battle here in our state-of-the-art poker room.
Half this table is Canadian, but only one has the main event bracelet, and only one is stuck 80 dimes, and it's the same guy, Jonathan Duhamel.
24-year-old Jason Mercier hails from South Florida, party in the city where the heater is on. He's up almost 38K.
Guy Laliberte is the billionaire creator of Cirque du Soleil. He's down 40 grand, but I bet he'd bend over backwards to book a win.
Bob Voulgaris is a high-stakes cash game player, and he's been crushing the game so far. He's up 122 grand.
Eugene Kachalov can't catch a break, but the cat's caught his tongue. He's quietly bled out for over 51K so far.
Our remaining player is loose cannon Carrie Burchell. The college admissions officer at one point was up 44 grand in profit. She's now up only 10K, and right now she's standing by with Amanda Leatherman.
Carrie, you had a rough night last night. Are you still confident?
I'm still confident. It was just a slight misstep there, so.
You want to tell me what the slight misstep was?
Well, I've been betting a lot and running into hands with Jason, and he's been letting them go. And when I was thinking about whether or not to call or fold, I was trying to decide whether or not I put him on a hand or whether or not it was just his time to stand his ground. And I put him on standing his ground, and I was a little wrong.
Are you going to change your strategy at all for these last two shows?
No.
Same thing?
Same thing.
All right, good luck.
Thank you.
Here's another look at the loose cannon rules. Each cannon is staked $100,000 to play. They keep all winnings above the initial $100,000, and the loose cannon, who's won the most money at season's end, earns a North American Poker Tour passport worth $50,000.
Right now, the leading loose cannon to beat is Massimiliano Martinez, and he set the bar high at over 163K. Carrie says she won't change her strategy at all. Her strategy, by the way, if I had to sum it up in one word, would be baller.
The action will start here on a baller in his own right, worth a couple $1 billion. Guy Laliberte of Cirque du Soleil. Pocket ducks.
I'm sure some Cirque du Soleil show somewhere has ducks in it. Oh yeah, I remember now. The ducks float around in the tears of a unicorn and then do a 7-minute handstand.
Guy raises to 1,400. King 9 of clubs for Bob. Folds.
Yeah.
Kachalov can speak. 10-6, lays it down. Carrie Burchell with queen 9.
Baller on the button.
Calls. Duhamel out. Jason Mercier. Ace 8. He can make something out of that. He calls.
Jason's defending out of the big blind, and unfortunately for Guy, it's a statistical guarantee that at least one overcard will hit.
10-8 tray rainbow. Mercier hits middle pair and checks it. Guy bets 3,100.
Billionaire is not afraid of 3 overcards. Carrie's got a gut shot to the nuts, and in case you haven't been watching, Carrie's not really big on folding. Whatever she does, she's still got Mercier to act behind, and he's got a decent piece of this flop.
Not big on folding, Joe, but she's been pretty big on raising. There's another one to 9,300.
Very aggressive. Mercier's got middle pair, best kicker.
Gives it up. Just one player left to get through.
Guess you have a bigger pair than mine.
Yeah, she sure does. They're a bigger pair of balls.
That might have been her bluff.
Guy folds.
She's got heart.
There's no bluffing in poker. Sometimes I have to tell you guys that.
There's a very good chance I had the best hand.
100% chance.
Well, Jason had the best hand, but Carrie's the one stacking chips as we go over the rules of the big game. Each table lasts exactly 150 hands. The action pre-flop is pot limit and becomes no limit after the flop. Blinds are 2 and 400 with a $100 ante, all of which is paid by the player on the button. And every player begins with at least 100,000 but can rebuy for up to 500K.
The big rule change this season is that our loose cannon cannot come back after she's played this week's 150 hands. No, they won't make an exception for Carrie. I've asked.
Cards are in the air. Action's going to start on Bob Vulgaris.
Geez, easy on the cards, buddy. He's bending them like one of Guy's performers.
King 5 lays it down. Kachalov out. 7-4 for the cannon.
Not a typical raising hand, but technically could still be called a suited connector.
Nothing typical about this cannon. Raises to 1,800.
These two have tangled more often than a pair of iPod headphones.
Okay.
Duhamel in, Mercier out, and it's on La Liberté. Calls.
Carrie is dominated.
Oh, my 2 favorite tango partners.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
As long as you're tangoing on ice skates.
Flop 9, Jack 5, couple of diamonds. Duhamel with top pair.
Guy's flopped a gut shot draw.
And checks it.
Carrie whiffed.
And checks.
Duhamel again, top pair.
Bets 3,600. 0.0003% of Guy's net worth.
I think you're a couple dozen zeros off.
And he folds. Burchell's out. And the champ will take down the pot.
Duhamel, the Canadian, takes that one down just like he tore down that 41-year-long WSOP icy glass ceiling to become the first Canadian to ever win the main event. He won $8.9 million that day, but he claims to still play in his home game where the blinds are 25 cent, 50 cent. Oh, that's really good news, actually, because I have an entire sack full of Canadian quarters I just can't get rid of.
Don't try to use them in the meters. Action on Duhamel. 8-9 offsuit.
Under the gun raise.
Do they call this stuck and steaming, Joe? He raises to 1,400. Mercier out.
Maybe trying to string together a little winning streak. 3 in a row's a hat trick.
La Liberté calls 1,400. 5-4 of hearts.
Suited connectors on the button. Pretty juicy.
Calls.
You guys are like students of the game. You think about it. Like Eugene's like thinking about something the entire time, right? He's like thinking about ranges and this the right way to play this hand, the right way that one. I'm thinking about like
butterflies.
Yeah, exactly. Butterflies and like kittens and ice cream. And
Huff, what are you thinking about?
Pad Thai. 6 ace 8.
Paintings and dogs and
exactly.
The dogs told Bob to check.
Checked around. We'll see a turn. 8 of hearts trips for Duhamel.
Bob's also picked up a flush draw and a gut shot draw. The flop checked around, so the betting leads up for grabs.
Duhamel fires 2,700. La Liberté folds.
I think with a flush and a gut shot draw, Bob may have too much equity to fold.
Not folding. Raises to 8,300.
This is some bad timing for a raise. I assume the butterflies told him to do it. Duhamel definitely needs to consider that Bob may have a bigger 8 or a full house. 3-betting in this spot would be pretty reasonable since Bob's probably got either a big hand or a draw. We know he's got a draw, and a 3-bet could very well get called.
We also know it's highly unlikely that Duhamel's folding in this spot.
Highly.
Duhamel makes the call.
Decides to play it cautiously, and who can blame him with how tight Bob's been playing all week. Bob's going to need some help on the river. I don't think a bluff's going to do it.
River, 10 of spades. No help to Bob.
Duhamel's now chopping with any 8 worse than his.
And he checks it.
Bob missed, but he still might think he can win this hand with a bluff.
But he checks it down.
Such an embarrassing hand to show after checking.
Good, eh?
I had 5 high. You got it.
No wonder Bob lost. He can't read the board. He actually had a pair of 8s with an ace-10-6 kicker.
I think you're picking up a Canadian accent. Bored. That was weird.
Sorry.
Duhamel wins a pot worth 22K.
Nice hand, young man. Taught that chaser a lesson.
He did, didn't he? He slammed the brakes on me right there.
The first red light for Bob all week. See if he gets back in the fast lane as the big game shifts into top gear when we get back. Welcome back to Las Vegas and the big game, where loose cannon Carrie Burchell has been staked $100,000 to play here this week. But what would the pros do if they got the chance to sit in seat 1?
If I was a loose cannon, if I would be the loose cannon, I think I would crush. You know, my strategy would be that I would be playing kind of loose and playing a lot of suited cards and trying to, just smash.
I would probably start off seeing who's doing what, who's playing like aggressively, and just kind of play tight. And then the second part of the show, I would just basically try to play big pots with marginal hands and try to gamble. So that's the whole point.
I would gamble a lot, that's for sure. Because the thing is, the loose cannon has to win, so definitely it's a good dynamic at the table, and it's gonna give a lot of action, so it should be fun.
I've learned a lot as far as watching the professionals try to push the loose cannons around. I'll let them try to push me around for just a little bit, but when I'm ready to make a move, I need to make a solid move because I know everyone's gunning for the loose cannon.
What a liar. Carrie said she was going to let the pros push her around a little bit. That hasn't happened. Epic fail there.
And right now, Carrie is up $14,000, almost 2/3 of the way through the 150-hand session. Guy Laliberte, 7-6. Apparently he's going to try to twist this one into a hand. Raises to 1,400.
I see what you did there.
Vulgaris folds. Kachalov, 10-8 of diamonds. My favorite hand. Calls 1,400.
I don't remember asking.
King, queen of spades for Burchell.
It's king, queen, and it's back in spades. This is an easy call, but if she's thinking, she might be thinking about re-raising. Now you can 3-bet king, queen suited on the button, but the problem is that you open yourself up to a 4-bet, and if that happens, you could be ultra dominated.
Well, she's open to a 4-bet now. She's raised to 5,600. Duhamel with queen jack. Folds. Mercier out. Guy's done with it. Last man standing, Eugene Kachalov. Folds, and Carrie will take down the pot.
Look at that satisfied little smile, like she just got away with something. I mean, I'd be smirking too. These guys are laying down to her like there's a carbon monoxide leak in the room.
Somebody open a window. So the 3-bet from our loose cannon, Carrie Burchell, gets respect there. She takes that one down uncontested.
As we take a look at the stats, she's opting for that move, the 3-bet 4.2% of the time, a little below the table average. The two players who are tied at the top of the list are Duhamel and Mercier. They're each 3-betting 6.5% of the time. For the 23-year-old Canadian world champion Jonathan Duhamel, 3-betting has helped lead him to a deficit of over $63,000 and at least one reload. Meanwhile, for 24-year-old Jason Mercier, it's been a part of his winning strategy. He's up over $35K. The moral of the story, if you're Jason Mercier, 3-bet. If you're Jonathan Duhamel, don't.
Bob folds. Kachalov with the queen 9 raises to 1,200. Pocket 5s for the cannon.
Yet another playable hand for the cannon.
And she will call. Ace-10 suited for Duhamel.
Duhamel with a big suited ace in position.
Calls on the button. Mercier makes the call. And Guy's in.
Guy getting okay immediate odds, but his hand is pants. Kachalov's dominated by Jason, who's dominated by Duhamel.
I'm going to call the flop. You make a flow chart. Flop 9-10 queen.
Mercier flops top 2. Eugene flops top and bottom. Duhamel with a piece as well. I'm going to start looking for some cover.
Mercier's checked.
Guy's actually got a gut shot, but it's the dodo end.
Checks it.
Eugene's got 2 pair on a susceptible board and was the pre-flop aggressor.
Fires 4,000.
Yeah, no shot at a check there.
Burchell out.
Duhamel's in third place. He's only got middle pair and some backdoor draws.
But he's going for chips. He raises to 12,600 with just middle pair.
This bluff is ill-timed at best. Even though Jason has the best hand, he has to be a little wary of a bet and a raise in front of him on this board. He's got a strong hand, but it's not necessarily a spot you want to get all the money in, especially with Eugene still to act behind.
And Mercier will call. He's out. Back on Kachalov,
who's making the appropriate face, and even though he has to hate the action that just went on, this board is so wet that it's hard to automatically give your opponents credit for having you beat.
Kachalov calls as well.
We've got ourselves a pretty big pot brewing here.
As we head to the turn, three ways. Jack of spades.
What an action killer. Both Jason and Eugene's hands have just been all but counterfeited.
Checks back to Duhamel on the button.
Jonathan's in an interesting spot. Since he was the only one who was bluffing, his was the only hand that wasn't ruined by that card. Looks like Duhamel's thinking checks are for the hockey rink.
Bets out 26,500.
And Duhamel just made a huge bluff with a huge pair. If you catch my drift. This card was just so bad for Jason and Eugene both. And both of them called Duhamel's raise on the last street, so him betting again will likely look ridiculously strong. It looks like he already knows this will be a bad laydown.
He folds. Eugene pitches it in as well, and the big bluff works for the champ.
Gets two guys to fold better hands.
I'm going to show like a 3 of clubs.
Duhamel drags a pot worth over 70,000.
Something's not sitting well with Jason. Either that fold or the catered meal.
Why don't I just fold?
Would have made it easier for me.
You gotta be lucky to be a world champ, but it doesn't hurt to be good.
So you had like ace jack or something?
2 pair.
You had 2 pair?
So as Kachalov and Mercier console each other, Duhamel stacks their chips with the third best hand. And we've got lots more action when the big game continues right after this. Welcome back to Las Vegas and the big game, where there's over $1.1 million up for grabs on that table. Action will start on the 2010 main event champion and a big bluffer from just before the break, Jonathan Duhamel. Ace-7. Folds.
Easy fold under the gun.
Mercier with an ace and a king. Big slick.
See, you could easily be dominated.
Raises to 1,200. Action on Guy with 9-7 suited. Calls. Bob with the queen jack.
Bob, seriously, take it easy on the cards. We're on a budget.
And Bob will call. Kachalov out.
Wait, imagine that.
Cannon calls.
Little loosey-goosey. Of these 4 players, only one of them makes a living playing poker.
To the flop, 10-6 queen, couple of spades.
Bob's flop top pair.
Burchell checks her gut shot.
Bob's got one of her outs, and if she hits it, Jason makes Broadway. And Jason was the pre-flop aggressor. Plus, he's the one professional poker player in the hand.
Jason c-bets 2,700.
Guy's got a gut shot, but it's not a very good one.
Folds.
Bob's got the best hand with top pair.
Makes the call.
Kerry has almost no shot at winning this pot. I mean, Jason and Bob could accidentally muck, I guess. Oh, no.
But she calls.
I know Kerry hates folding, but Kerry, you can't win every hand.
To the turn. Another queen trips for Bob. He's running good on the big game.
He's now got everyone drawing dead.
Check.
Burchell checks.
Put a jack out now and things get really interesting. Jason and Kerry both make straights. Bob boats up.
Mercier will pass.
Jason's given up the lead. Maybe the NBA handicapper actually knows how to turn it on before the 4th quarter.
Won't wait for a buzzer beater, makes it 8,000.
Maybe those spades and the paired board will alert Carrie to the fact that she doesn't have a single clean out.
Wisely lets it go. And Mercier folds. Bob will take it down and add to his profit.
I wonder if Bob would do me a favor and give me a line in the Globetrotters Generals game coming up. I think the Generals are due. Bob takes down another pot, and so far his rocky, some might say nitty approach has been working for him. He's last in VPIP, least likely to 3-bet, and after the flop, he's also the most passive player with the lowest aggression factor. But he's also #1 in profit, currently up 125 grand. They say you have to give action to get it. Not true in this case.
Well, speaking of action, there's a straddle on. And it looks like Guy is going to double straddle. In my home game, we call that the psycho straddle. Action on Bob. 8 tray of hearts. Folds. Kachalov out. King-Jack for the cannon.
This is a double straddled pot, so making a correct raise is going to take a lot more than usual. At this point, I'm pretty sure Carrie, who is a baller, won't play this timidly.
Pumps it up to 4,400. Action on Duhamel. Jack-9 of spades.
Duhamel's out of position, and he's dominated, though he is suited.
And makes the call. Mercier. Ooh, the ace is fake out. Folds.
Here we go.
Guy with ace-5. Already with 1,600 in this pot because he double straddled.
Okay.
Makes the call.
Guy's a billionaire. He's in. And he's the slight favorite, and as you can see, it's not by much. I'd say even less so with Carrie in position.
Flop queen 10-10, couple of diamonds. Rochelle and Duhamel both up and down.
Again, this pot is bloated from the double straddle. If Carrie continues, it's going to have to be for a much bigger amount than usual.
Fires.
I create a monster.
12,500.
Is he talking about Carrie or the gymnast dance monster from Ka?
There we go.
Duhamel calls.
As expected, Jonathan can't get away from his open-ender just yet.
I know. And that's why they call it the big game.
What's why? I don't get it.
Guy folded. We'll go heads up to the turn.
Carrie and Jonathan once again left alone to tango.
Turn 7 of clubs.
That 7 really doesn't do much. It improves no one's hand, and no one picks up any more outs. It looks like Carrie's loading up for another semi-bluff. She is bluffing with the best hand, but it's going to take a pretty big bet to get Duhamel to fold his open-ender.
Fires 27,600.
Scott, what's the name of that thing you use to scoop melon? Only leave off the word melon because that's what Carrie is.
Baller.
That's right, Scott. She's a baller. She's given Jonathan the wrong price, especially since he could already be drawing dead. In poker, you're supposed to beat up the player to your right, and this has pretty much been the opposite in the case of Carrie and Jonathan.
That is pretty good bet.
Duhamel folds. And Carrie's going to take down a pot worth over 67,000.
Go bluff, one time.
Next time.
All business. All business. Carrie's holding her own. She can play.
A compliment from Bob. He could barely get it out of his mouth.
With or without cards, Carrie has been firing all week. She now has a profit of 34K. See if she can keep the pros on their heels and keep scooping up pots and compliments when the big game returns. Welcome back to Las Vegas and the big game. Let's take a quick moment, take a look at where everyone's at.
Bob's still crushing. He's up 125 large. The Cannon's up 34 grand. Mercier's up 20.
The other 3 players are stuck. Duhamel for over 50K, La Liberte for over 59 grand, and Kachalov can't seem to connect. He's down 69,000.
But now it's getting fun because Carrie is just one double up away from taking the lead in the race for that NAPT passport.
She may get a chance to play a big pot here. Vulgaris is straddled for 800. Action will start on Kachalov. Ace-10 suited.
Big suited ace. Maybe this will turn his night around.
Raises it up to 2,500. Action on the Cannon. Jack-10 offsuit.
Totally fine to make a call with, even though we know she's dominated.
Makes the call. Duhamel out. Jason Mercier, King-Queen.
Sometimes a spot for a re-raise in the small blind.
He does. Bumps it to 9,100. Pocket queens for Guy.
And this is sometimes a spot for a re-raise. Especially when the re-raise came out of the small blind.
And this pot already bloated because of the straddle.
20,000.
He re-raises to 20K.
Chump change for the billionaire. 20K wouldn't even cover his insurance on his trip to outer space.
Action folds all the way back around to Mercier.
King Queen is usually not in very good shape in a 4-bet pot, and it's not even suited. Jason's probably not too happy about burning 9K, but Guy's a Guy who we haven't seen mess around pre-flop too often. Nope, no magical transformation. Jason spent more time in the tank this week than Shamu.
Lets it go.
I tell you what, if you can show me one card higher than a queen, I'll give you $100.
The guy's a billionaire.
Free money. You can put it right in the one drop. Has to have you higher than a queen, though.
Ah, it's for charity. He declines to show.
$100? I won't show you a card for 100.
You couldn't. You had to think about it first.
Huh?
What do you have, like 9, 10 there?
Look on TV.
I will look on TV.
And keep giving your $100 to one drop.
I'll do it anyways.
Exactly. So that's why I didn't show you the cards. I knew you would be doing it anyway.
I knew you had nothing there, by the way.
The One Drop Foundation is a charity founded by Guy, dedicated to developing clean water sources around the world.
I was just taking advantage of my position.
I wouldn't think you had anything there. Like zero. Like nothing. Like that's what I really felt like. I could be wrong. I've been wrong a lot. More than I'm right, probably, but.
Well, Bob's only wrong if you count 2 queens as something.
The straddle is on, and it's from our cannon, so the action will start on Duhamel.
The cannon is straddling, Scott, because she is a
baller.
No, she's just a good, aggressive player.
Well, thanks, partner. Duhamel raises to 2,500. Jack 7 for Guy. Calls 2,500.
It's like the standard straddle raise right there. It's like straddle 2,500.
Shh, don't let him know you're paying attention.
Bob folds, Kachalov out. Cannon, ace queen.
Carrie could most certainly 3-bet this if she likes, especially since she's out of position to both Jonathan and Guy.
She seems to do almost everything you say. Bumps it to 11,200.
Because she's baller. Jonathan's got to be getting really sick of Carrie at this point. He's not likely to fold, but I'm sure he'd rather have seen this flop for 2,500 instead of 11,000. Jason, can you see if they have any diet soda back there? I'm trying to watch the carbs. This is taking a while. Maybe he's considering 4-betting or folding as well.
How about calling?
That's certainly one way to play it.
Back on Guy.
This should be a pretty easy decision for Guy, one way or another. It's not like it's hard to tell if Jack 7 is ahead or behind. And it's not like he's got to sweat the money at all.
Okay, let's do it.
I want to be a billionaire. So freaking bad. Guy calls.
No pressure.
Interesting. Now we have a pot.
We sure do. Loose call doesn't even begin to describe it.
To the flop. King 4-4, a couple of clubs.
Everyone missed, but Carrie can maybe win this if she keeps up the aggression.
Jonathan 7, still good.
This is a huge pot already, and it's going to take a hefty figure for this bet to not look like a weak lead.
She's loading up.
Here comes the baller bet.
Loading up the 5K chips. Leads out for 26,700. Is that enough, Joe?
Not sure if it's enough, but Duhamel looks like he knows he's been had.
But can't call. Folds.
Good job.
Oh, man. I thought you were going to do something in this hand.
He's out.
Guess it was enough.
Rochelle will drag a pot worth 61.5.
Another very nice hand from the cannon. She has not taken her foot off the gas one time this whole week. The C-bet there gets her opponents to fold. And when we look at the stats, we can see that billionaire Guy Laliberte is folding the C-bet 73% of the time, while on the lower end of the scale, Jonathan Duhamel is folding to C-bets less than half the time at only 43%. You can't really blame him for folding on that last hand, however. The pot was bloated from a straddle. Carrie gets more credit because she's an amateur, and he still had Guy to act behind him.
Jason Mercier is going to straddle, so the action will start on Guy in this hand. Looks down at 9 deuce of clubs.
Pretty easy fold under the gun.
Pot.
Or not.
Joey's a billionaire. What's the difference? Raises to 3,600. Bob quickly out.
He made a really loose call with 9 deuce earlier in the session. He must like that hand.
Ace tray of diamonds for Eugene, and he'll call. Burchell out. Ace queen for Duhamel.
This can sometimes be a 3-bet from the big blind.
Calls. Mercier with 6 tray of spades.
Jason's hand isn't great, but he's already got money in there, and he's getting almost 5-1.
Makes the call.
Duhamel maybe didn't 3-bet since Guy raised under the gun, or maybe because he's stuck in a little snake bit.
King 7-6 on the flop. 2 diamonds. Flush draw for Eugene. A pair for Mercier.
Mercier's got bottom pair, and it's somehow the best hand.
Duhamel checks and Mercier checks.
Guy with nothing, but it looks like he's going to continue his ruse.
Is ruse a French word?
Je ne sais pas.
Liberté bets 10,600.
Eugene's got the nut flush draw and is about as likely to fold as he is to start singing show tunes. He's also got Duhamel and Mercier behind to contend with.
And he makes the call. Back on the champ. Lays it down.
Put in 1,000 too much.
What to do with bottom pair?
Kicks it in.
And just like that, Eugene's got the best hand.
Heads up action to the turn. 5 of clubs.
Guy actually picks up some outs to a gut shot with his 9 high. Eugene's also picked up a dummy gutter draw. I can only assume Guy was prepared to keep firing with this hand, however.
Another shell, 26,600 from Guy.
Eugene's got the best hand, and he's drawing to the nuts. He's getting 2.5-1, which isn't quite the right price, but I don't know a lot of players who fold this many outs to Guy.
You don't know Eugene?
Ooh, this was one of my friends from Montreal.
Well, I hope they get it.
He shows.
My 9 deuces is the things we have in our game in Montreal.
Eugene's got a pretty good sense of humor. Wonder why he's not laughing.
Well done. You didn't stop putting the pressure on. That was the key to that hand. You didn't give up.
Can't give up. But the other you hit, you can't give up. Are the king? Oh. Okay. A draw? Like me. The 8 comes, I made a streak.
Well, that's one way to send a shout out to your home game. Will the tightrope act continue for the Cirque du Soleil creator? Find out when we return on The Big Game. Welcome back to The Big Game alongside Joe Stapleton. I'm Scott Huff. There's over $1.1 million up for grabs on that table as hand 111 of our 150 hand session begins. Straddle is on and the action starts on Can't Catch a Break, Catch a Love.
Adding insult to injury, right before the break, Eugene got bluffed by Guy, who had 9 deuce suited and then showed it.
Action folds around to Jonathan Duhamel with King 10 of diamonds, raises to 2,100. Jason Mercier, Ace Queen of spades.
I smell a 3-bet.
And you get it, raises to 6,200. Guy, 9 deuce again.
Yeah, let's see you pull that 9 deuce bluff again in a 3-bet pot against Jason Mercier. That's what I thought.
Home game's not gonna like that. Bob Vulgaris with King Jack suited.
Ooh, can't blame Bob for wanting to see a flop with this hand.
But he folds.
Wow, tight is right. Still though, what a nit.
Duhamel calls.
Duhamel's in position with suited Broadway. Pretty tough to lay that down to a 3-bet from a guy like Jason.
So the 2 young tourney crushers will go heads up to the flop. 8, 10, 4.
Duhamel flops top pair. Gonna be tough to get him off this one. Jason's got almost no choice but to continue.
Loading up. And Jason fires 5,800.
I assume Jonathan will want to take one off with top pair. After all, it is the best hand.
Duhamel makes the call.
It's pronounced Mercier, you punk.
To the turn, 4 of hearts pairs the board.
Let's see if Jason wants to continue continuing.
Doesn't, he checks.
Jason's given up the lead. Jonathan is probably okay with that second 4 hitting, as Jason's not likely to be holding one.
And with Jason checking, it seems like he could start betting for value now if he wanted to.
He does, bets 5,500.
Jonathan's just made a super weak lead at this pot, either trying to induce a raise or maybe just trying to make sure he gets called by ace high.
Looks like he's going to get at least called, and he does.
After betting so little, Jonathan has to be happy with that call.
To the river, 5 of clubs. Mercier checks.
Seems like a pretty safe spot for a value bet, though I'm not sure he'd get action from many worse hands, including the one Jason's got. A small bet might get paid off by ace high, but would also be more susceptible to getting raised. Then again, checking behind is the only way to guarantee you won't get raised.
Duhamel reaching for chips.
He shall not check behind.
There's an orange one in there, and he lays down the Duhammer. Bets 26,200.
Duhamel's gone the big bet route instead. He made a small bet on the turn, and now he's made a biggish one here on the river. I think he's trying to level Jason into making a hero call. He knows Jason's capable. He's dangling the cape and the tights right in front of him. Come on, Jason. The city needs you. You have to rescue Lois Lane from the evil bluffster.
7. Got there.
At this point, though, there aren't a lot of missed draws Jason can put Jonathan on, so he might not be able to make this call. This would have to be just about a total bluff from Jump Street, maybe Jack 9. I'm pretty sure Jason's superhero power would be that he could hold his breath forever because this kid practically lives in the tank.
Sorry, give me 1 second.
Take your time.
When Jason thinks this long, maybe Duhamel decides he doesn't want to call. Jason taking his time making this decision. After all, it is for the price of Huff's car.
Jason calls with ace high, and Duhamel's top pair is good. He'll win a pot worth almost 90,000.
Well, Jason, in the words of Tina Turner, we don't need another hero. Gotta give Duhamel a lot of credit there. Made the perfect size bet and accurately put Jason on a hand knowing that his pair of 10s were good.
The champ is here.
And possibly on the comeback trail.
You're the best.
And that's the downside to making the hero call, but there's still more heroics ahead when we continue here on the Big Game. Welcome back to the Big Game, where earlier tonight we saw 2010 main event champ Jonathan Duhamel take down a really tough three-way pot. What was he thinking? We find out now as we go behind the poker face.
Okay, so now we're about 2/3 in the session. I was down a lot at that point, but I was just starting to get all of my money back. So I was starting to get some of the momentum back. And Eugene raised from under the gun +1 to 1,200. The loose cannon called, and I'm on the button with ace-10 suited. So I thought about raising, but I think just playing in position there is fine. So I just called there. Jason called from the small blind, and Guy called from the big blind. So we're 5 to see a flop. Flop come queen 10-9 with 2 clubs. I got second pair, backdoor flush draw. So no, kind of good hand, but the 5-way, you know, probably not the best hand at the point. Went check from the blind, and Eugene bet 4,000. The loose cannon fold. I kind of feel like my hand's not good at that point. But if Eugene has some kind of, let's say, overpair or ace queen or those kind of hand, I can get him off of his end. So that's why I decided to raise at that point. So I raised to 12.6, you know, just hoping he's gonna fold there. Something I didn't expect it though, Jason called from the small blind. At that point, that just freezes me up. He kind of has probably a big draw. He folded in the big blind, and Eugene hesitated for a while and finally called. So for me, it's like, okay, the hand's over now. You know, there's like no way I'm gonna win it. Like I'm just hoping to hit the flush draw on the turn and get a free card to hit my flush on the river, basically. But an interesting jack come on the turn, and that changed almost everything. Now, Jason check, and Eugene check as well. So at that point, I figured there's like no way those two guys can have a king in their hand. And for me, like it's kind of easy to have a king in my range. If I want to make a bluff there, I gotta bet, you know, not that big. I gotta bet like, let's say half the pot, maybe like 60% of the pot. So I decided to bet 26-5 there, just hoping they're both gonna fold. Jason folded, which is good. And Eugene thinks for like, you know, a couple of seconds, and they folded. It was a weird hand, I gotta say, but at the end, just it was a good card on the turn to, you know, just continue my bluff. So I'm quite happy about the way I played.
Duhamel won with the worst hand and got both Mercier and Kachalov to fold 2 pair. Not bad for a guy whose name starts with duh.
And he's mounting a comeback. At one point, he was stuck over 80 grand. Now down just 21,600 bucks. He's got a pair of 7s.
More hockey sticks for the Canadian.
Pumps it up to 1,400. Mercier out. Guy out.
The comeback continues.
Action on Bob. 8-5.
Bob's been pretty nitty. This would be a weird call, even on the button.
That doesn't look like a call. Re-raises to 4,300. Eugene out. Burchell folds. Back on Duhamel.
Duhamel's out of position, so while I don't think he'll fold a pair, I'm sure he's not loving this spot. He's got to be aware of how tight Bob's playing, so I don't think we'll see a 4-bet.
And Jonathan makes the call.
As I mentioned, Bob hasn't been messing around much, so I assume he's got some kind of plan for this hand.
Heads up to the flop. Jack, trade, Jack. 2 hearts.
Duhamel still with the best hand and honestly not too scary of a board for 2 7s.
But he checks it.
Checks to the razor nonetheless.
And it looks like Bob may have another bet in him. C-bet it is to 5,700.
I'm not sure one bullet from Bob will be enough to get Duhamel to fold 2 7s. For Jonathan, I don't think this is really a spot for a raise either. Most players would just call in this spot and see what develops on the turn.
And Duhamel makes the call.
Yum.
To the turn. 3 of clubs. The board's now paired twice. Duhamel checks.
Bob's gotten no help from the board to make things look any worse for 2 7s. Hey, Niagara Falls, that's Canadian, and it looks like Bob's about to keep barreling.
Maybe over the edge. Has a lot of chips in his hand. Bet 17,700.
Nothing really changed about this board on the turn, but the pot's bigger, so Bob's able to put more pressure on the world champ. Even if Jonathan's ahead, he's got to fade the river as well as what's likely to be close to a 50K bet.
Folds.
I had it.
You had it?
I had it big time.
Really?
Show it.
Oh, Bob shows him the bluff and revels in it.
Beats ace high, right?
Yeah, beats ace high.
2 9s, 2 7s.
He had deuces, you dummy.
Did you get counterfeited?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I had to bluff once.
He's calling if he has anything but that.
Well, you're calling with anything, because you're in your mind, they always call it anything. See, I can't beat top pair here, but man, I tell you, I don't got a pair here, but man, I tell you. He's polarized to the nuts or nothing. Oh, or top pair, yeah. Okay, good. Good hand.
Bob's got plenty of bleeping chips. Right now he's killing it, up over 138 grand, and our other winning player tonight is the Cannon. She's up over 52,000.
Everyone else is down. La Liberte and Duhamel for about 31 grand each, and Mercier is stuck 38 dimes, while Eugene Kachalov is stuck in a free fall. He's now down about 90 grand.
All right, Carrie, the question on everyone's mind. Are you content with what you have, or you want to gamble it up tomorrow night for that passport?
I have no idea what I have. I came to play, and I will play.
Look at that.
150 hands.
Bob's been wondering what you've had the whole time. He keeps looking at your stack, he can't figure it out.
I'm too stupid to figure it out.
But you're eating this table alive besides Carrie.
I guess so, yeah.
All right, guys, there's over $1 million on the table. Tune in tomorrow night to see what happens. I'm Amanda Leatherman saying goodbye for now, and remember, if you've got the cash and the guts, there's always a seat open at the big game. Good night.
That's all for this session. For Joe Stapleton, I'm Scott Huff. Next time on the big game, it's all come down to this. Loose cannon Carrie Burchell stands one double up away from making over 300 grand in profit and taking a stranglehold on the lead for the passport. And with just 16 hands left, she gets her chance. But will Carrie's top two be enough against billionaire Guy Laliberte?
Do you have ace king? No. Maybe.
It's a hand you will never forget. Join us for the memorable conclusion to the big game tomorrow night. The preceding program was sponsored by PokerStars.com. The preceding program was sponsored by PokerStars.com. Previously on the big game, high-stakes cash game regular Bob Bulgaris ran a big bluff against World Series of Poker main event champion Jonathan Duhamel.
I had it big time. Beats ace high, right?
Yeah, beats ace high.
I had to bluff once.
And Duhamel sent poker pro Jason Mercier into the tank to contemplate a $26,000 hero call with just ace high.
Oh my God.
Wow. You're the best.
And amateur loose cannon Carrie Burchell kept making all the right moves against billionaire Guy Laliberte.
Guess you have a bigger pair than mine.
Yep, she sure does. They're bigger pair of balls.
I create a monster.
With just one night left to go, can the loose cannon keep it up against this table? One thing's for sure, we'll have action.
And that's why they call it the big game.
This is the PokerStars.com big game.
Welcome to the big game from Las Vegas, Nevada. Alongside Joe Stapleton, I'm Scott Huff, and tonight there's over $1.1 million in cash on the table as some of the toughest players in the world have come to battle here in our state-of-the-art poker room.
This man has replaced the Expos as the pride of Montreal 2010 main event champion Jonathan Duhamel. He stuck $33K.
In between shows, Jason Mercier got nicknamed Nut Nothing for repeatedly calling with the worst hand. He stuck $53K.
Guy Laliberte is the creator of Cirque du Soleil, so that $18K he stuck won't keep him from being on the cover of Forbes magazine with Oprah and the Queen.
Bob Bulgaris is a high-stakes cash game player, and he's played snug, but it's worked out for him. He's up 138 grand.
As a child, Eugene Kachalov escaped communism. In communism, cards fooled you, taking a bath and stuck almost 90.
Our loose cannon is Carrie Burchell, a college admissions officer. She started last night with 10 grand in profit, but now she's up over 55 grand, and she's standing by with Amanda.
Carrie, it looks like you have a nice chunk of change in front of you right now.
I am not really sure. All I really know is that I have a profit.
You don't want to know?
I don't want to know.
Why?
Well, because if I know how much I'm up, it kind of makes it more real, and I feel kind of accountable for when I'm up. I'd rather just be able to play my game and focus on playing.
I like that. With one night to go, are you ready to gamble it up?
Well, I've been playing my game all week, and I plan to keep playing it until the end.
All right, I'm rooting for you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Here's another look at the loose cannon rules. Each cannon is staked $100,000 to play. They keep all winnings above the initial $100,000, and the loose cannon, who's won the most money at season's end, earns a North American Poker Tour passport worth $50,000.
And right now, Carrie is one double up away from taking the lead away from Massimiliano Martinez. Amanda said she's rooting for Carrie. That's a bad sign. Amanda's a black cat. She's so unlucky mirrors try not to break her.
The action will start here on Jonathan Duhamel.
Carrie's actually just two double ups away from being able to get me out of credit card debt.
Duhamel folds.
Carrie, remember what we talked about? Call me.
Mercier out, Laliberte out. Bob, ace-7 of clubs.
Suited ace on the button. I know it's early in the broadcast for abbreviations, but that raise seemed fairly obv.
Up to 1600, folds around to the cannon, pocket queens.
Tread lightly, Carrie. Just because there's three ladies at the table doesn't mean you can all go to the bathroom together. But seriously, she should raise.
There it is to 4,400. Back on Bob.
Carrie plays every hand like she's a baller. I don't even know if the table can handle her right now.
And Bob will make the call.
Scott, all this week, Carrie's been the 3 C's.
Cool, calm, and collected.
Actually, it's cool, calm, and baller. That's how baller she is.
8-8 king on the flop.
Carrie can't love seeing that king, but she really hasn't backed down at all this week. I can't remember the last time she didn't c-bet.
And these are our only 2 profitable players for the week going at it.
You're getting bluffed too. It's so gross. I can feel it.
Well, I can think of one way to test your theory.
Rochelle bets 12,200.
What would Nut Nothing do right here?
Jason got the name Nut Nothing between shows due to his propensity to hero call with the Nut Nothing.
Carrie, what would Nut Nothing do right here? You think? You know?
It would take him about 15 minutes to figure
Right.
it out, though.
Burn.
And then he would. Then what would he do? let's fast forward to at the end of the 50 minutes. What do you think he would do?
Jason loves the attention.
Nothing will call.
It's probably the dumb thing to do. Probably not the winning. It's probably the winning play. That's why he wins all the money at the tournaments. Chaser. All right, you bluffed me. Go ahead, take it.
Bob folds.
Nut Nothing would have won.
Bob's really smart. Say one thing, do another, cover all your bases. What struck me the most this week about Carrie is that she doesn't flinch. She has no fear. I think she might be a machine.
Take another one down. The table's getting schooled by her, by the way. Everybody's getting like this. I mean, I don't expect much out of Nut Nothing, but I mean, this guy won a world championship. Do something, Jonathan. What are you doing?
Trying to, man.
He's been taking on the chin from Carrie the worst.
So while Carrie takes in the poker kudos, let's go over the rules of the big game. Each table lasts exactly 150 hands. The action pre-flop is pot limit and becomes no limit after the flop. Blinds are 2 and 4 with a $100 ante, all of which is paid by the player on the button. And every player begins with at least $100,000 but can rebuy for up to $500K.
The big rule change this season is that our loose cannon cannot come back after they've played the week's 150 hands. So maybe Carrie's twin sister Mary could play?
You really want her to come back. Cards are in the air and action is going to start on Duhamel. Folds. WWNND. What would Nut Nothing do with the 9 tray of diamonds? He'd raise to 1,200.
Jason getting a little out of line already.
Guy makes the call with King 10. Action on NBA bettor Bob Vulgaris, Ace Deuce. And he has the button. Folds. Pass the rock, Bob. Catch-a-law folds. Ace King for Carrie.
Carrie with by far the best of it. Carrie could just call out of the big blind if she really respects Jason's under-the-gun raise, but then again, it is an under-the-gun raise from Jason.
What's pot?
56.
I heart her.
Usually what's pot gets followed by a pot-sized bet. And there it is to 5,600.
Later. He is dominated, but he doesn't like to fold, and I can think of a couple billion reasons why.
56.
And Guy makes the call with King 10. So we'll go heads up to the flop.
Carrie the 3-1 favorite.
5-7 Queen Rainbow. Big whiff for Guy and Carrie.
Carrie's once again in a spot where she can probably win it as long as she keeps the pressure on, and she's rarely not followed through.
And there's your follow through. An almost pot-sized bet to 12,700, and Guy folds.
No Dutch.
No Dutching. No Dutching. Carrie is the queen of the 3-bet C-bet combo. Not only is she second in profit, she also ranks second in the following categories. 3-betting highlights her pre-flop aggression. Calling pre-flop shows us that she's hard to push off a hand, and her C-betting percent is just high enough to make old Pappy Greenstein proud.
And the other players at the table certainly noticing how great she's been playing.
Yep, it's a one-girl wrecking crew out here.
Take it easy on us.
I didn't do anything.
Eugene stuck 93, Duhamel stuck 13, Mercier stuck 61, Guy stuck 26, and you expect us to believe you didn't do anything, Carrie?
And she stole Joe's heart. Mercier raising to 1,200. 12. Laliberte calls. Bob with 9 King.
I like lots of garbage hands.
You're also nittier than a pair of mittens.
Action folds around to Burchell with a 7.
Out of position.
She'll make the call. Pocket jacks for the champ.
He'll want to thin the field.
It's a pot.
Duhamel raises the pot. Jason folds.
Attaboy, Jason. Way to go, buddy. Good job, buddy. Way not to disappoint.
Action on Guy.
You might want to tighten up your opening range, I think, because you're not getting much respect at this table.
Burn.
66, right?
Guy makes the call. Burchell's out.
He loves setting money on fire. Money and rings for people to jump through.
So, puis moi,
Parlez en anglais.
Whoever wins this one, we're singing "Oh Canada" at the end. 9-10-9 on the flop.
He flops a gut shot draw. Jonathan's holding half his outs, which technically aren't even outs since hitting one would make Jonathan a full house.
Duhamel bets 10,400.
He has no idea how thin he's drawing right now. No diamond on the flop, so not even a backdoor flush draw. Since the jack's no good, he's got one backdoor straight draw. At the moment, only his queen is live. Of course, he doesn't know most of this, and he's got a bottomless bankroll.
And he makes the call.
Practically a gift.
Turn card. Ace of spades.
Duhamel has to absolutely hate that card. If I were Jonathan, I'd be reciting every French expletive I can conjure up in my head. It's a bad spot to be in because if you check, you kind of give up on the hand.
Oh, this guy's a world champion.
I ain't afraid of no ace.
It's like Jonathan still wants to be a Guy buster. Bets 17,600.
On the flop, Jonathan's praying for Guy to call with ace high. When the ace hits, he's praying it was queen jack.
Guy folds.
Nice turn card.
Wasn't a good card for anybody, buddy.
And Duhamel wins a pot worth 54,600.
A king nine.
So things didn't work out for Guy that time, but all eyes are on our loose cannon as her chase for the passport inches closer to its end. Find out what happens right after this. Welcome back to the big game, where this week's loose cannon, Carrie Burchell, is having a good session so far. If you've been watching, you know she overcame a congenital heart condition as a child. She's also overcome a skeptical father in order to be here.
My dad is anti-poker, one, because he doesn't understand it, and two, because he's a pastor. Growing up in our house, cards were considered to be the devil's game, no matter what kind of cards they were, except for like Old Maid. So it's never been anything that he actually took the time to understand, and he just sees it as gambling. If I do win, I would absolutely give money back to my dad's church. Even though my dad may not like the fact that I won the money on a poker show, I still think it would do a great deal to actually help his ministry. I definitely feel like I could reach or even exceed $150,000. There's nothing that's impossible, and all it takes is a double up in the right spot. It's just the right timing and the right play. There's a lot that I would do with $150,000. You know, after I take out the money that I would give to my family and, of course, to my dad's church, the next step would be to buy a car. Because right now I drive a taxi, and that's a pretty sad sight in itself. I purchased a car that used to be a taxi. So if you get in my car, in the back window, there are actually fare signs in the back, and there's a little faded taxi sign on the back. And no, there's no radio, because that's where the meter used to be. My friends, even my dad gives me a hard time. I actually picked him up in my car, and he asked me if he needed to pay his fare when he got out. So everyone gives me a little bit of a hard time about driving a taxi. I absolutely have to do well at the big game because I have to upgrade my car situation.
And that's a shot of Carrie's mom watching all the action from the green room. I spoke with her on a break, and she couldn't be more supportive of her daughter playing here tonight, especially since she forgot to bring cab fare. But I did it. I went there. Right now, she's getting closer to that lead for the NAPT passport. That's her profit, folks. She's still got another 100K in her stack, so she's just one double up away.
I've always wanted to do this.
What? Can you straddle on the buttons?
You can do any straddle, they said.
Why wouldn't we straddle on 800 on the button every time? That's like a good play.
Carrie attempting a Mississippi straddle. It's the first time someone's ever tried this on the big game.
Because she's a baller.
If the players allow it, the small blind will be first to act.
No, starts on the small blind.
Looks like they will allow it. Action on Duhamel with 6 tray.
It's me.
And he folds. Mercier out.
So, could I raise now?
Yeah, you can make it.
No, you have to fold. 800. Everyone has to fold but the button. It's a real good angle. You can't lose.
Okay, so
You can make it 36.
So I could make it 36 because this calculate, right?
Yeah, that's a blind.
Okay, make it 35.
35.
Guy raises to 3,500. Bob.
Guy. This Guy. 35. Look at this Guy over here.
Vulgaris folds. Kachalov ace jack.
Man, Eugene looks like he's been put through the ringer this week. He's just like over it.
Makes the call. Over to Carrie. 9-5 of clubs.
You can do anything, remember? Could straddle from way in the middle of the table if you like.
At least someone paid attention in the pre-show meeting.
Carrie makes the call.
Now this might look like a loose call, and it is, but you kind of have to defend your straddle here mathematically. Carrie's getting better than 3-1, and she's in position.
Flop 8-9 deuce 2 diamonds. Top pair for the cannon, middle pair for Guy.
Pretty sad when the girl who plays 1-2 no limits got more gamble than me. It's embarrassing in some ways.
Way more.
Way more gamble than me. Not even close. And more than you too, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of us.
To be fair, Carrie's the only one playing with someone else's money.
Guy fires 10,700. Catch a love out, and it's back on Carrie.
This is a pretty big, almost pot-sized bet. I'd say Carrie is fairly likely to know she has the best hand here. So I'm going to go ahead and say folding's probably not an option.
Well, she's got the gray chips. The 5K chips. And she makes it 30,600 to go.
What on earth is going on here?
Even though this is a baller raise, it really doesn't make a lot of sense.
So how much more? Basically 20,000, 19,900, right?
You're kind of not supposed to raise just because you think you have the best hand. I could totally see Guy just shipping on her right here. He did it to her earlier in the week. Guy looks like he just might not be a believer.
Just calls.
Right?
I'm not sure if Carrie wanted a call or not. My guess is probably not. This pot has gotten very big very fast.
Turn 6 of clubs.
Check.
He checks.
This is a stellar card for Carrie. She picks up a draw to both a gut shot straight and a flush, and one card makes her a straight flush. Now she really should bet this only if she's willing to call a raise all in, and should be considered a semi-bluff, not a value bet. As long as she doesn't lose her nerve, this is likely to be the single biggest bullet we've seen Carrie fire.
Stacks a lot of chips and fires. 53,800 is the bet.
This pot is likely to be 100 times bigger than the biggest pot she's ever played before in her life.
How much left you have, roughly?
Ah, she's so cool.
Come get it.
About 80.
Does Guy really think she would bet this kind of money on a hand worse than 2-8s? Or does he just not care and want to gamble like a billionaire sicko?
I think I'll make a nothing reflection.
You gotta ask her what nothing would do.
Nothing would still be in the tank from another hand. And this is not the demeanor of a woman who just bet her entire year's salary. She genuinely looks just as comfortable as any pro I've ever seen.
He folds.
You can tell he created Cirque du Soleil because 90% of that whole thing was just theatrics.
53-8. Man, you could have opened this game right up, Guy.
Burchell takes down a pot worth 126,700, and with that pot, Carrie Burchell is now up over 100 grand and less than $63,000 away from taking the lead in the race for the NAPT passport.
I think everybody was hoping that you would call and win so that I would be down and have to gamble some more.
No. I knew without showing the bluff, right? That late in the week.
There's no bluffing in poker.
This is the only thing you didn't do, show a bluff the entire week.
Imagine we just watched it on TV, she's bluffed like every hand. Like every hand, like every big hand, it's just a bluff. I'm like, what?
Not too far from the truth.
And Carrie Burchell is on a heater. The fare to ride in Carrie's taxi is your whole stack. Can anything slow her down? Find out when the big game continues. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the big game where our loose cannon is getting closer to taking the lead for the passport.
So you can win like another 60,000, you'll be in contention.
$62,000 to be exact, but please make it 62,001 because I have no idea what to do if you tie.
There is no lockdown.
No lockdown in this. No lockdown.
Pretty amazing. There is no
really
lockdown,
amazing.
yeah.
None. I'm impressed. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm impressed too.
I think we all are.
Joe's got Carrie's picture in his locker. 8-5 for Bob, folds. Catch a love out, Burchell, 7 tray, she'll let it go. Duhamel makes a raise to 1,200 on the button. Ace-4 for Mercier. Out. On Guy. With pocket kings.
The button raise almost worked, Johnny. We're likely to see a 3-bet, but Guy could just call if he wanted to be deceptive and balance his range.
3 bets to 4,200. And Duhamel quickly calls with the Jack-5 of hearts.
Quick call in position. Duhamel speaks Guy's language, literally. They're both French-Canadian.
Ace, jack, 6 on the flop, couple of spades, middle pair for Duhamel.
An ace also hits, which may kill some of the action.
Nope. He bets 7,200.
And typically once these guys flop something, they don't fold for 1 bet in a 3-bet pot.
Duhamel does call.
Duhamel can also hit backdoor hearts.
Turn. Ace of clubs puts a couple aces out there.
That second ace hitting makes it less likely that either player is holding one.
Guy checks. Then Jonathan checks. River, 9 of clubs.
He's about to board the last train to Value Town.
18,000.
Guy fires 18K.
All aboard. If Jonathan can't put Guy on an ace, he'd be right, and he'll likely make this call, which would be wrong. Spades missed, and so did all Broadway draws, not doing Jonathan any favors.
Oh, Guy, boy.
Jonathan calls, and Guy wins.
2 kings.
Value bet. KYC.
I had an ace, that's why I was wondering what the hell was going on.
Population 1.
And Guy takes down a pot worth almost 60K.
Had a pair, huh?
Oh, yeah, we thought you had queen high.
Oh. No, yeah, nothing.
So the billionaire Guy takes that one down, and if it seems like he's played about half the hands this week, it's because he's played about half the hands this week. He's got the table's highest VPIP, he's the leader when it comes to c-betting, and he's won the most overall pots. La Liberte is down about 30 grand, but that's not slowing him down because he also ranks #1 in another category, overall personal wealth. We keep making a big deal about how rich Guy is, but he's also quite charitable as well. He founded the One Drop Foundation, a charity dedicated to providing clean water sources around the world. Guy's a good Guy.
And he's got ace-king.
Suited.
Raises to 1,400. Bob with 7 tray, out. Kachalov with the 8-4, lets it go. Action on our loose cannon. Ace-10 offsuit.
We know Carrie's dominated, but this is an auto call on the button.
Unless she re-raises. Nope, just a call. Duhamel out. 5 tray of hearts for Jason Mercier, and he'll call out of the big blind.
A little loose, but Jason wants to get involved with the 2 amateurs.
3-way action to the flop. Ace 10-4 rainbow, top pair for Guy, top 2 for Burchell.
Carrie flops huge, goodbye kicker problems. Hello, Guy's money.
Mercier checks his gut shot.
Guy could really get himself into trouble.
C-bets 4,800.
This would be a good spot for a raise. It's kind of a dry board, but you can certainly get action from most aces. Calling's okay if you think your opponents are super wide and you won't get any action. Sometimes that would be the case, but we know Guy is very likely to call a raise.
If things break right for Carrie here, she could be our new loose cannon leader. Carrie opts to just call.
I'm sure part of Carrie's plan in just calling was to try to get Jason along for the ride. Jason's not even getting 3-1, so this would be pretty loose. Pretty loose.
There it is, though. He makes the loose call.
Guy and Jason are drawing pretty thin. They're each only going to win this pot about 1 out of every 5 times. Carrie will win it more than half the time. Pretty good 3-ways.
King of diamonds, and Guy hits a bigger 2-pair.
Oh, puke.
Mercier checks.
Guy Willikers, this could get ugly. Guy was the last aggressor, so typically he's supposed to bet again. I say there's no shot Carrie gets away from this. No way, no how. It's just a question of how bad it's going to be.
And Guy is loading up. The bet is 20,400.
Carrie didn't put in a raise on the flop, and I'm afraid she's going to do it now when she's so much more likely to be behind.
Why couldn't you put a creamsicle chip out there? I would have called so that I could get a creamsicle chip.
Those chips are worth 25K each.
Now you're getting taunted, Guy. How does it feel?
Carrie's confidence is genuine, but it is an error.
She makes the call.
Carrie doesn't raise, but this is still awful for her. What a gross turn of events. You can't blame her for calling.
Mercier's out.
Guy's got Carrie in terrible shape. She's been coolered, and with Duhamel folding a 10, she's only got one out.
6 of clubs, that's not it.
Time for Guy to calculate the bill and tell her what the total damage is going to be.
He bets 50,000.
There's those creamsicle chips she was after, but unless there's a 6 card to be dealt that I don't know about, she won't be getting her hands on them.
Do you have ace king? No. Maybe.
She's asking the right questions. Maybe there's a chance she can actually get away from this.
Be a bad call. He said right. I call.
And she calls.
Ace king.
Nice hand.
So gross, and she shows the cooler.
And Guy's going to win a pot worth over $160,000.
You can't fold that. You can't fold that.
Carrie hasn't shown much emotion all week, but I'm guessing she's gutted right now. I know I am.
Now you're peacocking. He's like, I win a pot finally.
No, actually, she might not save money because if she re-raised, I probably call. And then I might do top pair.
Yeah. Now you turn top 2. Then.
Probably if I would have raised on the flop, you don't get away from it either, so.
No, I call then with the turn, then we're.
Guy saved money. It's just like an $80,000 hand.
Smiling again somehow already. Still baller. Oh no, not the sad music. I hate the sad music.
Can Carrie make a comeback? Find out when we return. Welcome back to the big game alongside Joe Stapleton. I'm Scott Huff, and there's just been a major movement in stack sizes. Checking the leaderboard, we see that Bob is now up 141 grand, and Guy Laliberte has jumped up to 54K at the expense of the loose cannon, who's dropped to 23K in profit.
Duhamel is down 49, Mercier stuck 67, and Kachelov getting crushed for over $101,000. But the big story right now is that even if Carrie doubles up, she'll still be behind Massimiliano Martinez in the race for the passport. Just 15 hands left to play. I don't know about you, but I just had to go puke after watching Carrie take that cooler. Does anyone have a toothbrush?
Action on Kachelov, 8-5, folds. Carrie, 8-6 of diamonds.
Looks like she's not slowing down one bit.
In it to win it now, raises to 1,500, Duhamel out, and King-Jack for Mercier.
Jason knows Carrie might be a little more susceptible after that big loss. Looks like he might want to play a bigger pot with her.
The Sharks are starting to circle. He raises to 4,200. Guy quickly out, and it's on Bob.
Bob typically stays away from the weak aces, especially out of position.
Does again this time, folds.
Looks like Carrie's going to gamble even more now, maybe try to win some of that back before time runs out.
Makes the call.
Jason's eyeballing Carrie's stack. Try to be a little less obvious.
10-5-7 rainbow. Carries up and down. Mercier still with just king high.
Even though Jason was the last aggressor and she should check to him, I say dunk it now. Get that pot up there.
But Rochelle checks.
It's probably the right play.
And Mercier checks behind. Turn. Jack of clubs. Mercier hits a pair of jacks.
Carrie's missed on the straight draw. With check on the flop, the betting lead is up for grabs.
And she takes it, bet 7,000.
And it looks like Carrie hasn't changed her game at all. If Jason hadn't improved on the turn, I think this bet could have worked. As it stands, there's no way he's folding.
Mercier makes the call. So Carrie's going to need some help as we head to the river. Queen of diamonds, big brick.
Carrie hits another banana, but the board did get a little scarier for a pair of jacks. Her inability to play passively has helped her this whole week, but it might hurt her now.
She fires out 9,200. And Jason calls.
Call I missed.
He's like, yeah, I know.
Probably the quickest decision we've seen Jason make all week long.
And with these two big losses, the pros might start to see it as open season on the loose cannon.
Mercier taking down a pot worth 42,000.
Carrie just dropped another 20 grand on that hand, and what a roller coaster of a week it's been for her here on the big game. She came out of the gate strong, was briefly down less than 6 grand, but then never looked back. She's been playing with profit ever since. Carrie took some huge swings of up to 50 grand, but nothing like the nearly 100K drop she suffered over the past few hands. She's currently up just 3K, and her time is running out. I'm pretty sure Carrie's still got some baller left in her, though.
Looks like Duhamel does. He's straddled for 800, so the action will start on Jason Mercier with 9-5 of clubs.
This will be looser than his sweatshirt.
Raises to 2,300. Guy with 9-8 of diamonds. Calls. 9-7 of hearts for Bob.
How many nines are in this deck?
None.
Bob calls on the button.
Time's running out for all these guys to get their last licks in.
Kachalov out over to the cannon with ace-jack of diamonds in the big blind.
Oh boy, let's see if she can still summon her inner baller. This is a scary raise to make, however, because for the first time since early in the week, Carrie would dip back below the 100 grand she was staked.
She's not scared, raises to 10,900, and the action folds back to Guy.
Okay, I'll play with you.
Knowing the hands, Carrie should love it, but I'm sure she would have much rather collected a bunch of dead money.
He makes the call. Back on Bob.
I don't even have the heart to play if I call. That's a sad thing.
Bob's the anti-baller. Must come from watching too many NBA games.
10-9? Probably don't need that.
And Bob folds.
With 2 nines folded and nut diamonds, Carrie is a huge favorite.
We'll go heads up to the flop. Jack, King 10 rainbow. Burchell with middle pair. Guy is up and down.
Carrie's got the best hand. There's an argument for check calling on a scary board like this, but we know that Carrie's just got too much baller in her to do that. He's a billionaire, everyone.
Burchell stacking chips. Fires 24-3.
This is almost a full pot-sized bet. Carrie means business here on the home stretch. Guy, of course, is open-ended. However, he might think his queen outs to be dirty, which they are, since those would make Broadway for any ace. Still, it seems pretty uncharacteristic of Guy to fold in this spot. He is a bit of a chaser.
Tries to show Bob his cards.
I didn't see your hand. So.
He did. Anyway, I don't want to be. If I go, I have to go all the way. It's a crack.
And he folds.
Carrie was the odds-on favorite if they did get it in, but with the way Guy runs against her, probably better this way.
And with that pot, Carrie is back up to nearly $20,000 in profit, still showing a lot of heart. Can she mount a comeback this late in the week? Find out when we return on The Big Game. Welcome back to The Big Game, where right now loose cannon Carrie Burchell is hoping to score big as her week here winds down.
Carrie was on track for a huge week until she got coolered a few hands ago. Since then, she's been clawing her way back up from a meager profit to a less meager profit.
The straddle is on in action. We'll start on Eugene. 4 deuce. Out.
I figured out that Carrie actually hasn't had her foot on the gas pedal the entire time. She's had a brick tied to it.
Queen 9 of diamonds for Burchell.
I don't think she could slow down if she wanted to. It's the only explanation for her fearlessness.
Raises to 3,600. Duhamel with 5 tray of diamonds on the button.
This would be a fairly standard call in position against an amateur.
And call he does. Mercier out. La Liberté in the big blind. Lets it go. Bob folds.
Oh, we haven't danced in a while.
Yeah, well, need to give you some more, I guess.
Dance in a few days.
I heard the prom's theme this year is going to be flappers and gangsters.
You're just jealous. 2 players to the flop. 7 ace jack, a couple of hearts.
Both missed the flop, but Carrie's got the best hand with queen high. She's out of position and first to act.
I can't even take it.
What's up with these two?
Carrie fires and Duhamel will let it go. So the loose cannon takes down another pot, but still a long way to go to catch up to the NAPT Passport leader.
It would be like a bad game theory play not to know how much chips you have. I mean, it was baller earlier to not know how much you have, but now it'd be probably a decent idea to know how much chips you have.
Carrie, like me, refuses to count chips. Graphics?
Something over 100. Just over.
Yeah.
Like $2 extra. Wouldn't make a $2 profit tonight.
You get yourself a twist cone at Mickey D's.
The 20K she's up should be enough for her to upgrade that car, or at least get a newer used taxi.
There's another straddle on, and Burchell will start the action.
From the looks of things, she might just blow it all on bracelets and bangles.
Ace 10 for Carrie. Raises to 3,500.
In any case, Carrie doesn't seem to be satisfied with just 20K. She's obviously still aiming higher. Risky.
Action folds around to Bob. King 9. Can't imagine he's going to play this.
Could be worth going after the cannon with, but he is out of position.
No dice. Queen 10 for Kachalov in the straddle.
Even though we know Eugene's dominated, this is pretty much a must call.
And he does call. Flop tray ace 4, couple of spades, top pair for the cannon. Kachalov checks.
Top pair and the best hand.
And Burchell bets 6,600.
Eugene really hasn't made many hands this week, this hand being no exception.
And he'll fold.
He looks like he's totally over being here.
Burchell's going to drag a pot worth 14.8, clawing back a little bit at a time.
So Carrie takes that pot and through 142 hands. She's never slowed down. She's seen 33% of the flops dealt this week, behind only the 24-year-old phenom Mercier and the billionaire La Liberte. I say there's a fairly good chance she sees every flop from now until the end of the 150 hands. Scott, bet on it?
I don't believe in gambling. Duhamel in the straddle.
It's ironic.
Jason Mercier will start the action. Ace 5 offsuit.
Jason's under-the-gun raises have been getting less respect than Rodney Dangerfield.
He's just going to fold.
But that means still he can make the 13, though.
Jason's raised to 2,300. Action folds to Bob.
I think he's bending the cards like that just to tilt me at this point. He's not getting invited to my home game.
Action folds around to the cannon. Pocket eights.
Carrie may want to 3-bet this, but for a lot of pros, this is a slam dunk just call. Uh-oh, speaking of slam dunks, I guess I forgot to take into account the fact that Carrie is a baller.
Those look like re-raising chips. She's got a gray in there. Re-raises to 8,500. Duhamel quickly out, back on Mercier.
No respect, I tell ya. That's the kind of raise that should come with a free bowl of soup. Mercier's got a weak ace, but he is in position. Carrie would be a big favorite if he called.
Jason gives it up.
I can't believe these guys are still laying down to her.
So Carrie takes it down pre-flop. This time the pot worth almost 13K.
You know, Carrie's a college admissions officer, so maybe if poker doesn't work out for Jason, she can help him out there.
So the cannon puts together a nice little run, but still miles from where she was and where she wants to be. With no signs of slowing down, see where this cannon ends up next. Welcome back to the big game where loose cannon Carrie Burchell has just 2 hands left to add on to her profit. She's currently up about 22 grand.
Giving it her best shot to play a big pot. She's straddling.
It might be advantageous of you to see next 2 flops.
Yeah. Listen to nothing.
I'm not saying because I want to gamble, you know, it's for your own benefit.
The action will start on Jonathan Duhamel. The champ with Queen 8. Lets it go.
Saved 100,000.
Jason Mercier with Ace 6. And limps.
Limping with a weak ace, not always recommended, even if you're Jason Mercier.
Key out, action on Bob with Jack 7.
Bob, seriously, you know Huff has to iron those every night, right? Wow, this would be uncharacteristically loose for Bob. He's getting better than 4-1, though.
He calls.
Wow, took that long and you still messed it up. Actually, Eugene gets that.
I'll keep it for that.
Yeah,
just for that, I'll keep it.
Just for that mistake.
I was going to say pot, but I changed my mind.
Kachalov in as well. Carrie with Ace 7 of clubs in the straddle.
I think we know what Carrie's going to do.
Carrie raises to 4,600.
Attaboy. Attaboy, nothing. Way to teach her.
I mean, I just want to like.
The right thing to do would be to raise every hand. So I'm gonna limp.
Great impression.
With my hand, and then she's gonna raise it. I can fold.
It's like there's 2 Jasons at the table.
This is wild. I almost want to fold just to punish. You know?
Just to punish yourself?
No, not to punish myself. To punish her.
Give her $800. That'll show her. Carrie raises a lot, but Ace 6 isn't really doing well against most of the hands she'd raise. Bob Vuvuzela.
Mercier makes the call.
Action's on you now, buddy.
Oh, you're calling.
Bob folds.
I would have called if you called.
Eugene's out.
This would just be like such injustice if I somehow doubled her.
Heads up to the flop.
Yeah.
7, queen, 8, rainbow. Burchell with bottom pair. Mercier misses completely.
Carrie's bottom pair is the best hand, and my guess is she's going to bet it. Jason trying to nonchalantly sweat the fact that he knows a bet is coming.
Carrie leads at it. Jason folds.
Merry Christmas. You got the chasers out. They're just going to double you up.
Sure, Carrie's probably not going to walk away with the profit she once was, but can you put a price on fun? Oh, you can, and it's exactly what Carrie lost. Whoops, my bad.
I don't know what I would have done there. I flopped bottom pair.
Hey, me too.
What's that?
I said, hey, me too.
Hey, you too. Probably the best hand then.
The better kicker.
You had a better kicker? Oh, you did? That would have been bad for me then.
Pushing us around.
I know. I feel like I feel like I lost my manhood today. Not that I ever had it, but if I did, it's for sure gone.
Last hand, guys.
Thanks, Amanda.
Duhamel will straddle the last hand of the night. Action will start on Mercier. Ace king.
Nothing's got something.
Raises to 2,300. Gee out. Action on Bob. Ace 7.
Oh my God, this is so gross.
Bob in position. Bob stayed away from the weak aces all week. Could be tempting on the last hand, though we know he's dominated.
I lost my gambling card with that hand.
He folds. Kachalov out. Action on Burchell. 8 deuce for the last hand of the night.
This is Carrie's last chance to try to make some money, though with that hand, she'd probably be better off saving the 1,900.
Makes the call. Duhamel, 7-6 of diamonds, calls out of the straddle.
Remember, everyone, that 1,900 bucks just came out of Carrie's profit. You gotta respect the gamble.
Flop. 5-10-4 rainbow.
Everybody missed. Jason has the best hand with ace high.
Burchell checks.
Duhamel's open-ended. I'm pretty sure his beard has gotten longer and redder throughout the course of this week.
I think that's just the set lights. Jonathan bets 4,200.
Mercier with just ace king high.
And nothing folds.
He did have the nothing on that hand. Carrie, time to hang it up. Good game.
Yeah, I don't have it in me.
GG. Let's it go. And fittingly, the champ wins the last hand of the week.
Not going to be enough to get him out of his hole, and Carrie will, in fact, end the week with a profit.
Finally got ace king.
Well, we're all relieved. We can go home now.
You didn't flop anything?
No, I had 8 deuce.
8 deuce, yeah.
I just couldn't fold it because it was the last hand.
No, yeah, of course.
Carrie didn't win the passport, but she did win the baller award, which is worth nothing. Sorry.
Bob is our big winner, up over 131K, and Laliberte wins 35 dimes, which in no way moves him up the Forbes billionaires list.
The Cannon walks with a healthy 27 grand. Duhamel dropped 37 dimes. Mercier dropped almost 55. Kachalov got crushed, losing over $101,000.
Carrie, you're walking away a winner, but you have to be thinking about what might have been, right?
I'm not thinking about what might have been if I would have locked up earlier. I'm just thinking about what might have been if that king hadn't hit the turn.
Are you okay with your win?
I'm okay. I'm okay because I feel like I played a good game this week, so you can't be disappointed when you played well.
Guy, you're at least going to comp some tickets to Cirque du Soleil, right?
Sure, it's funny. I was just thinking about it.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's it for this week. I'm Amanda Leatherman saying goodbye for now. And remember, if you've got the cash and the guts, there's always a seat open at the big game. Good night, everybody.
Our Cannon Carrie Burchell leaves with some money in her pocket, her head held high, and house seats to a Cirque show. A heck of a week on the big game for Stapes. This is Huff saying so long from Vegas.
Did you bluff a lot or no?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Did you?
I knew she did.
Guys, she really played
There's
great,
so
right?
many boards where she was just like blasting. I was like, how the hell does she have it, you know?
Do you think she played great?
I really do.
Yeah, you said you were impressed a few
agree.
times.
Yeah. Right. No, I thought you played
I would
good.
love to invite you to the show.
Thank you.
Just email me, okay?
Okay.
Sorry.
Hey, Guy, what a nice guy.
Yeah, take 80,000 from her and then give her $250 worth of tickets. What a prince you are, Guy. What a boy.
The preceding program was sponsored by PokerStars.com. The following program is sponsored by PokerStars.com. For the last 5 weeks, this table has seen soaring wins and crushing defeats.
Well, that's pretty sick.
Massimiliano Martinez, the fearless Italian amateur, stunned the pros with his youthful bravado.
Wow, this is the most aggressive loose cannon I've ever seen.
And scooped a massive profit. Now, just one man stands in Max's way to claim the ultimate prize. Does our final loose cannon, the retired cop Ken Rankowski, have what it takes to crack the case and take down the loose cannon title? But that may be the undercard to the main event.
You're a disgrace to the game.
Tony, can you please shut up?
I'll have to clean you out every time I play with you. I love it.
Look who's back for a rematch.
Phil Hellmuth, where is he? If I see him, I'm going to charge him.
Big week if you want to wear earplugs.
Forces collide on the final week of the big game. Next.
This better be my week. I'm getting sick of this BS.
This is the PokerStars.com Big Game.
Welcome to another week of the big game from Las Vegas, Nevada. Alongside Joe Stapleton, I'm Scott Huff, and tonight our 6th and final internet qualifier will have a shot to win the nearly $1 million stacked on the felt.
The 05 World Series of Poker main event champ Joe Hashem is all the way down at the end of the table, so he may need someone to pass the sugar.
Jose Nacho Barbero is an Argentinian pro who took down over $1.5 million in tournaments last year. He starts with $100K.
Tony G's qualified to be here, and he's here for one reason: smash Phil Hellmuth. And to help him, he's brought 400,000 of his closest friends.
Academy Award-nominated actress Jennifer Tilly is here. She drew the seat that comes with earmuffs. She'll start with $100K.
To her right is 11-time bracelet winner Phil Hellmuth. The Brat has busted 4 of the 6 times he's played on the big game for a nearly $400K loss. So this time out, Phil has hired Lane back-to-back Flack as his poker consultant for the session. Highly unusual. Phil's hoping Lane can keep him level-headed and says sometimes even Tiger Woods needs someone to take a look at his swing.
Our loose cannon is 51-year-old retired cop Ken Rankowski. Ken spent 30 years on the beat and now spends his time running a coffee shop in British Columbia. He's with Amanda Leatherman.
Ken, describe to me what this opportunity can mean in your life.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I mean, the possibilities are endless. If I do well at the table, it's going to take me where I want to be in my retirement.
Well, you said you were a police officer for 30 years. You're dealing with criminals, with thieves. How does that help you at the poker table?
For 30 years, I've been doing interviews, Amanda. I've talked to lots of people. I can tell when they're lying. I can tell when they're truthful. And I find I can get the same tells from people at the poker table. So that's what I'm hoping to do today.
Are you scared of that lineup at all?
Who wouldn't be scared of that lineup? But I'm just going to play my cards, and I'm going to have a good time, and I'm going to see where it takes me.
All right, Ken, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Here are the rules for the loose cannon. Each cannon is staked $100,000 to play. He keeps all profits above the initial $100K. And at season's end, the loose cannon who's won the most money earns a North American Poker Tour passport worth $50,000.
And Ken's going to have to bring his A game to win that trophy and the passport. He'll have to top the $163,000 of our leading loose cannon, the Italian Massimiliano Martinez.
Are you officially the first loose cannon to wear a tie on this show, Ken?
I think I am. How does it look?
Congratulations,
It doesn't
well
look
done.
that loose.
Yeah, it doesn't look that loose, that's right.
It doesn't foster that wild and crazy image.
Maybe it'll help my game a little bit, I don't know.
Tell us about yourself, Ken.
I just retired from the police department. I spent 30 years as a policeman. I retired 2 months ago.
How am I going to bust you now? You're an ex-copper.
Is that considered the Canadian Royal
Canadian Mounted
No,
Police?
this is a municipal police department, Vancouver.
Have you ever had to draw a gun?
Plenty of times.
She's got a boyfriend, Ken.
King 6 for Ken.
Have you ever shot anybody?
I don't know if I can say that on TV.
How many people have you killed?
Did you work for the CIA?
King Jack for the Brat.
Done lots of undercover work.
Wow.
Tony G facing a raise from Phil Hellmuth with 9-10.
Here we go, Phil. Did you raise him?
Tony G calls. Nacho Barbero lets it go. Ace-7 for Hashem makes the call.
Back to the same tricks.
I'm not going to let you two just enjoy
Back to
the
the
party.
same old, same old.
I feel like I'm stuck in the middle of a triangle.
Stuck in the middle.
Let's hope Tony doesn't cut your ear off.
Flop 8, Queen Jack. Tony G flops the nuts.
First hand.
Check.
This isn't even fair.
Joe checks.
Helmuth's got middle pair. He's supposed to continue.
And he checks. Tony G fires 5,000.
Is that 5,000?
That is 5.
Hashem folds.
Almost a full pot-sized bet. These guys rarely fold a pair on the flop.
Helmuth calls.
We're going to draw. Draw your gun.
I got a big draw, Tony. What do you want me to do?
Turn, 5 of diamonds.
Phil's big draw, now drawing dead.
Helmuth checks. Tony bets 15,000.
Almost pot-sized again.
I got a big draw. Spade.
Phil calls.
And Tony is loving it.
River, 4 of hearts, no help to Phil. Not that he could get any. Checks it. Tony bets 50,000.
Phil's in big trouble if he thinks Tony's just triple barreling.
Where's the big draw now? Oh, where's the big draw?
First hand of the night against Tony G, probably making this a harder decision than it should be.
There's Phil's coach, Lane Flack, watching from the green room and can't help him right now.
Think I'm going to check to you or what?
Well, I thought maybe you would, yeah.
Yeah.
This is an overbet which polarizes Tony's hand to nuts or air, and on the first hand of the night, it's just going to seem so much more likely that Tony has air. Now, if you've never seen this show before, these two have a relationship like Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. Usually involves Phil blowing himself up and Tony sticking his tongue out.
All right, I call.
He makes the call.
There you go. Welcome to the game.
Ouch.
Just flops the nuts just off the bat.
Welcome to the game. You've been doing a lot of talking. Now show me your bullets. Show me what you brought to the game. Where's your money? Don't tell me you're going to play with that crap. You're not going to embarrass yourself here, are you? Yet again, Phil, produce. Pull out your money.
I love the show.
First alternate Daniel Negreanu can follow the action backstage with Lane, but they cannot see the whole cards.
My consultant job is
I bet you he had like a raggedy queen.
King Queen.
I bet you didn't even have that.
Daniel would win that bet. Phil just had King Jack.
And after the first hand, the Brat loses nearly 3/4 of his stack down to just 28K.
Nice hand.
Yeah, you're happy for me. I know. And I really stuck it into you there at the river, right? I put that knife in, opened up those wounds, you were bleeding it all out. Did you enjoy it?
Tony, you are a real beauty. I hope the fans at home appreciate what they see from you.
Tell me you enjoyed it though. You enjoyed that pain. You're flowing freely now.
I will respond to you. I don't usually respond. I'll just say that the Tony G show is kind of fun to watch. I don't even mind losing to you. I think it's kind of funny.
Well, I'm glad. Now we're trying to connect.
Say
We're
this. I mean,
connecting now.
you know you can't get to me staying within conventional bounds of poker, so you know you have to like cross all the lines.
You sound very zen-like. Is this something Lane Flack taught you? Tolerance?
Tony's not supposed to be able to get to Phil, but I think
he does.
I think losing. I said he's not supposed to be able to, but losing 65,000 on the first hand might amplify.
Make that 72,000 there, Coach.
Who's your coach? Your coach be jumping up and down.
We expect Tony to cross every social boundary and cross all the lines. And the players, and most of the world doesn't know how bad his etiquette is.
I hope what they know one thing is just a game. It just stays here, Phil. You come here, I destroy you. Off the table, I wish you all the best of luck.
You beat me that hand. Very nice hand, bro.
Phil. I beat you over and over and over and over. You're destroyed. You can never get your money back.
Ken, welcome to the big game.
One hand down. 149 to go.
Helmuth raises to 2,000 with Big Slick.
I own you. You understand, Phil? I own you. I run you. It's my game.
Tony G facing a raise from Phil has to take a breath. King Deuce folds.
If he did that to you, would you just pull out a gun and shoot him?
I'm sure he's a smart man. He
I'd love to see you
understands
get him
it's a
in one of
game.
those
There's a difference.
police locks.
There's a difference between being on the streets and being here in a studio, taking on the best player in the world. I mean, he purports to be the best poker player in the world. I mean, that's what he's selling us. Well, beat me in the hand, Phil.
Does that one count?
Phil takes that one down as we take a look at the rules of the big game. Each table lasts exactly 150 hands. The action pre-flop is pot limit, then no limit after the flop. Blinds are 2 and 4 with a $100 ante, all of which is paid by the player on the button. And every player begins with at least $100,000 but can rebuy for up to $500K.
And this year, the loose cannon doesn't have the option to come back to increase his stack. This is Ken's once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to listen to Tony G berate Phil.
Ah, not true. There are reruns.
And the internet.
You're going to retire. I'm telling you, when you're crushed again, it's time to retire.
Wow. You know what? I've never done this before. I'm putting an earphone in.
Are you taking the pills?
I've never done this before. I'm putting like a piece of like thing in my ear here.
Oh, he's putting in earplugs.
Jennifer's boyfriend, Phil Locke, also watching from the green room.
Tony G ditches the 8-5. Nacho Barbero, the Argentinian pro, won 5 tournaments last year. Raises to 2,000 with a couple of threes. Hashem's out. On our cannon, pocket 4s.
Time to see what kind of cannon we got.
When I lose a big pot, I get upset a lot of times. It's true. But I apologize to that player all the time. I shake their hand at the end of the day.
Can you apologize?
But you,
I never have to apologize.
You are a bad winner. And
Yes.
that's a class issue.
Ken calls.
So that's all I'll say.
Phil out. Until he makes the call.
But you have my money. Well done.
I have your money. It's here. It's safe.
Nice hand.
It's going to set you back on that jet purchase.
To the flop. Jack 7 Queen Rainbow. Big whiff.
Everybody misses.
It's going to delay it.
Phil folded a 3, so Nacho's drawing dead.
It's going to fill me up. Fill me up to get back to London.
I'm glad I had a good night's sleep.
Phil's likely to have a nightmare or two tonight.
And the action checks around. Turn, 5 of spades.
Another overcard to both pairs.
Tilly checks.
That must have hurt, though. You got to be honest. That 50,000 stung.
Barbero checks.
I mean, today I don't care. It would have hurt me like last show or 2 shows ago. I would have been upset, but
Ken checks.
You're zen.
I mean, it's
like
just
now.
poker, man.
Yeah, it's just poker.
River deuce.
It's just one hand, you know.
Tilly checks.
I get to play with you the rest of my life. I'm sure you'll beat me for 200, 300,000 and lots of pots.
I hope
the
I beat
rest
you
of
for
our
200
lives.
million. I hope someone stakes you and we play.
Barbero checks.
That's what I hope to do.
Ken chose the winner.
Pocket 4s. That looks good.
Well, at least he didn't overplay them.
Wow, go Ken.
I was thinking about evaluating my trees.
There we go. It's all happening now. It's all coming together now, Phil.
What's going to relax the loose cannon?
That's what we call an uptick, Ken. It's just a beginning uptick.
Yeah, it's all good, yeah.
So the ex-Copper collars his first pot on the big game. Don't go anywhere. The action and verbal assaults are just getting started. Welcome back to the big game where Tony G has not stopped needling Phil Hellmuth.
Phil, today I think what you could show to all your fans is how to lose classy and walk off the studio quietly without making any comments, just drifting away into retirement.
Are you obsessed by me, Tony?
I'm obsessed. I'm not
I read an
obsessed.
article. I read it like someone
not
did a
obsessed with
psychological.
you.
Did you read that article online where they
Phil,
said?
I'm obsessed with you only on the game. I'm never obsessed with your personal life. I'm always the best for you. The game, I love to play. You're a character. I love the stimulation because you think you're the best player in the world. My dream's to beat the best, so I'm beating you all the time. So imagine how I'm feeling.
He told me that Tony doesn't get to him.
Oh, baloney.
Yeah, except for the noise factor.
That's a lie.
Except for when
Tony's
he's
game obviously works against him because always in those spots, and Tony gets the best stuff.
This isn't the first time Tony's gotten the best of Phil. The bad blood between these two goes back to the beginning of the big game.
I'd almost rather not be playing with Tony G. Why should I sit down and have a guy attack me every single time and get inappropriate and cross all the lines?
Clean you out. I'm not going to clean you out, baby. I'm going to do it to you. I'm going to wipe you out. Bring in a coach is the lowest level a professional poker player could ever fall to. Imagine every player had a coach in an NBA game and telling him how to play. I mean, that is disgraceful, Phil. You are a disgrace to the game.
There's about 10% of the audience that's watching loves to see you kick me when I'm down.
Oh, it's more than that.
I'll bet it's over 10.
I'll be honest with you, sometimes Tony G, I have to think of him as a fly. You don't fight with a fly. You shoo a fly away.
You're a disgrace.
Can I tell you one thing or not? Are you just going to interrupt me? I wish that I weren't a bad loser sometimes, but it's 10 times as bad to be a bad winner. And you're a bad winner, my friend.
Phil has been the worst player by far the big game.
You want to deal it 4 times?
king! You got it!
Bingo! It's just unreal. Do I feel like I've had bad luck on the show? I think that not only have I had bad luck to this point on the show, but everybody knows it on the planet. However, today's a new day.
It's going to be an amazing show. I'm going to really look forward to it, to see how he performs and if he can handle the stress and the pressure.
Kind of ironic that Phil attempted to shoo Tony G away with a $72,000 fly swatter. We were hoping to air that package before they had a chance to get into it, but it's hard when Phil loses 3/4 of his stack on the first hand.
I own you. Do you understand? Wake up. I own you. I destroy you.
Amanda, we should change the name of the show.
To what?
The Tony G and Phil Hellmuth Show.
I know.
They already changed it.
Freaking
Have they?
frat.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's the name of Tony G and Phil's reality show, unfortunately. Spoiler alert, Tony puts Phil in a coma on the first episode.
The action starts on Rankowski. Queen Trey.
What does your psychiatrist wife say about Tony?
Ken and Phil out.
We've never even brought Tony's name up ever.
Really?
They just call him he who should not be named.
Ace King for Tony.
You don't talk about her at night when you're in bed?
Re-raises to 4,000.
No.
Barbaro folds.
We've talked about some players. Tony's name's never come up.
You haven't been playing the role model of being Tony.
Tony, why are you on my left?
Just thought we'd play one nice part together.
Jennifer is dominated and out of position, but based on Tony's rep, she could get into some real trouble here. A lot of people think Jennifer may not be an aggressive player, but trust me, she is. Her lack of experience isn't so much of a lack anymore after the last couple years. Specifically dating Phil lack.
Speaking of aggressive, 4 bets to 12,000.
Wow.
It's better than calling. Tony's got to give Jennifer more credit than she gave him, but it's pretty tough to get any of these guys to lay down ace-king before the flop.
Is it that good? 12.
Tony calls.
Maybe I need to get lucky.
Easy, Jennifer. I think he meant on the flop.
Flop 7, Jack 7, rainbow. Both players miss.
Jennifer should c-bet to keep the lead. She doesn't know this, but that flop is pretty bad for Tony's hand.
But she checks.
Okay.
And Tony checks. Turn. King of hearts, top pair for Tony.
Jennifer's drawing more dead than the bride of Chucky. And it looks like now she's going to try to bluff at this.
Bets 12,000.
She's trying to rep Tony's hand. Tony's not folding.
Tony quickly calls. So we'll see a river. Ace of diamonds, 2 pair for Tony.
Unfortunately, top pair now for Jennifer.
As she checks, Tony bets 25K.
It's one of her most famous lines from Bride of Chucky. Unfortunately, she kind of has to call.
You want me to take the race back?
What?
You want to take it back? I'll take it back. No, really, take it back.
I don't think you could take the ace back.
Then I'll take it back. I promise. If the ace wins, you win the pot.
What do you mean?
So I'm worried like the ace upset you, so I'm happy to take it
No,
off
the
the table.
25K upset
Okay,
me.
all right, let's leave it on there then. I might need it.
Oh my God. I don't even know why I raised you in the first place.
I don't know either.
I was just trying to be clever. Now look what's happening. What do you have here?
Ace king, obviously. I mean, what else do I have?
Is that what you have,
Of
ace
course.
king?
What else do I play?
He probably has ace king,
Or
right?
2 sevens. One of those 2 options.
God.
And I promise you, I either have ace king or 2 sevens.
You promise me?
If you fold, I promise you.
I don't even have 25,000. Is that
I'll
really?
make it 20 if you want.
You'll make it 20?
You want me to make it 20?
Yeah, make it 20.
All right, make it 20.
What a nice guy.
Can you do that?
I don't think I started out with enough money.
The floor's going to allow it.
None of the other players objecting.
Make it 20. Might save us both money.
Okay, call.
Makes the call.
Ace king, I wouldn't lie.
And Tony wins another big one.
All right. I think I'm going to have to reload.
It was 5,000 cheaper.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
This is just the Tony G show. Forget about Phil Hellmuth.
It is the Tony G show. All right. You know, when you said you had pocket sevens or ace king, I believed you. So I don't know why I didn't just fold there.
He did promise.
I never lie. I would never lie to a lady like that.
Yeah.
But you wanted to see it.
I did want to see it.
And you did.
I was curious.
And Phil wanted to see it, so he wanted you to call.
Well, lucky Phil's gone home.
No, this Phil. The brat.
You can tell Phil Locke's not here anymore. You can't hear him crying from backstage.
Locke wanted updates on 50,000 or more, and I think Jennifer Tilly lost exactly 50,000 on the hand. So, okay, bad news, Phil. Jen just lost 50 to Tony G. Gotta let him know.
Back with more of the Tony G Show right after this. Welcome back to Las Vegas, home of the big game. Now, our loose cannon, 51-year-old retired cop Ken Rankowski might look like your average family man, but beneath that necktie is an action junkie looking for his next fix.
My name is Ken Rankowski. I'm from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, and I'm here on the big game. 2 days after my 21st birthday, I joined the Vancouver Police Department. Typically, when you get on in the police department, you work for patrol for a number of years. Within about 3 or 4 years, I ended up getting on the K9 unit. From there, I went to plainclothes units, from drug squad to strike force, which is an elite undercover surveillance squad. I got a real rush from that sort of work, doing surveillance, undercover work, and the takedowns are very exciting. One of my first warrants that I wrote, we actually recovered over $1 million from a marijuana transfer house, and that was really big. So that was really exciting, my first warrant. The type of a rush you get when you're taking down the suspect at the end of the day is just absolutely amazing. I mean, it's very similar to playing poker. That's you got your highs and you got your lows, and when your heart's pounding and you're moving in and you're coordinating to do a major takedown of a violent suspect, it's extremely, it's scary, but it's exhilarating and it's exciting. With the police department behind me and now being retired, now's my chance. I want to spend 100% of my energy playing poker, and I want to really make my name in the poker world. And being here on the big game, that could make it happen. It could finance my dreams. This could be a whole new life for me. This could absolutely change my life.
I do see some similarities between police work and poker, but at least in poker, you don't have to fill out a ton of paperwork every time you fire.
So, Ken, do you play poker in Vancouver?
I do.
At the casinos?
At the local casino, yeah.
Do you have a friendly game at your house?
No, I just stick with the casinos.
Ah.
Action will start on Nacho Barbero. Ace-Jack.
Who's your favorite player at the table? Myself not included.
Raises to 1,600.
Ken is a huge Nacho Barbero fan.
Who would you emulate at this table?
In another life.
Rankowski, 10 tray.
I don't think that would be appropriate to say right now.
False.
Finish this
It
sentence.
might work against me.
I want to be a poker player like.
I like them all equally.
Okay.
Aside from you, 25%.
Action folds around to Tilly, who makes the call. Jack 8 for Tony G. Calls.
Very diplomatic answer.
Smart answer.
Who would you rather lock up, Phil Hellmuth or my friend over here?
I think he means Tony G.
You have a good story if you knocked me out. I wouldn't blame you if you wanted to knock me out.
The ego has landed.
6-10 King Rainbow.
It's good for the story, right?
Check, check.
It would be good.
Everybody missed. Nacho's got a gut shot and the best hand with ace high. And what is Jen Tilly doing in there with 8-5 of diamonds?
Barbero bets 3,500. Tilly folds. And Tony G raises.
One of his classic quick bluff raises.
Now we got to test you out. See if you got ace king. Ace king is good, by the way.
I don't know about Nacho's cash game, but the kid knows how to play tournaments.
He makes the call.
And he knows Tony's up to no good here, apparently.
We'll go heads up to the turn. Deuce of hearts.
I check.
Tony checks.
I got that queen jack. What are you gonna do? You can't bet it.
Tony's got one of the cards right.
And Barbero checks. We'll see a river. Tray of diamonds.
I check.
Looks like Tony's given up. Nacho checks behind and he'll win the pot.
Thought you might have had one of those hands.
Oh, ace high good.
So good.
I was calling the river.
That was an easy card to call. Yeah. I don't know if you were going to call 25,000. I had to bet the turn.
Jose Barbero Nacho? Jose Barbero Nacho?
Jose Ignacio Barbero.
Jose Ignacio Barbero.
Ignacio.
But they call you Nacho, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Ignacio. I thought they called him Nacho because it was his favorite food. Now I know why he seemed underwhelmed by the Taco Bell I had sent to his dressing room.
Action will start on the 2005 main event champ, one of the best dressed guys in poker, Joe Hashem.
I enjoy his cufflinks today.
10-4, folds it. Over to our loose cannon, Ken Rankowski. Say that 5 times fast, Joe. Ace-9 of clubs.
I will not. Ken's a little early, and ace-9 is a weak ace, but it's suited, so he could certainly play this, as long as he raises. I have to specify with some of these cannons.
He does. Raises to 1,500. Phil out. Jennifer out. Tony G with the 8-9 of hearts. Calls.
Tony G calling out of position and dominated.
Nacho, queen deuce.
Go on, Ken. One for the good guys. I'm rooting for you this hand, all right?
You should have been raising that anyway. You were scared. You're playing scared money. You can't call with ace jack. You have to raise there.
With ace jack on the flop.
Flops 7, ace 5, couple of diamonds. Rankowski flops top pair. Tony with a G shot.
I'm scared of you, Tony, honestly. You see how you put on the table. Like you're owning them.
I can't tell if that's sarcasm or Argentinian accent.
He said it himself. He's owning people.
Testing out.
Yeah.
Tony G's bet 2,200.
Testing out Ken here, who has the best hand and certainly shouldn't fold for one bet.
And he doesn't, makes the call. Turn, 10 of clubs, and Ken Rankowski adds the nut flush draw.
He's already got the best hand, so he shouldn't be too shy about getting some money in now.
I checked then.
Tony checks.
Tony's now open-ended.
Save your money. I don't want to bust you.
That's why Tony's so dangerous. He talks when he has it, talks when he doesn't.
Ken fires 6,000. Tony G calls.
Might be a little scary for the amateur.
River, king of hearts, no help to Tony.
Not a great card for Ken, but not a terrible one either.
It's been checked to him.
You can bet it now. You're going to win the pot. Doesn't matter what you do.
Checking behind, totally fine here.
You got the ace.
And he checks.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, what a nice turn card.
And a club draw.
That was a good turn. I should not have called. That was not a clever call. I'm the worst player against the loose cannon. If you want to play with me every hand.
Ken takes down another one, and so far the ex-cop is kicking down the door of the big game.
8-9 was not looking good on the river when I checked.
Welcome back to the big game as we take a look at the profit leaderboard after the first 15 hands. Tony G is up over 100K after flopping the nuts against Phil Hellmuth, taking the brat for 72K.
Jennifer Tilly shipped the rest of that profit to the G stack, and now she and Phil will have a tough battle to get back to even.
I have to make $50,000 back, like 1,000 at a time. I'm saving up for plastic surgery.
Don't think you need
Tony G dipped into my plastic surgery fund. Just have to do the old tape behind the ears trick. Cheap but effective.
It's even nicer. I'm going to straddle it.
Of course you are.
Tony's straddling, half with Jen's money, half with Hellmuth's.
Barbero with 6 tray. Folds. Joe Hashem out.
I feel I should be winning more. I mean,
I feel like you should be
I made
too.
some, especially here to the Argentinian, I've been too generous.
Wow, he sounds exactly like a James Bond villain.
Cannon folds. Phil Hellmuth, big slick.
The pot is unopened to this point.
Phil in the small blind.
There you go. He's going to make a move out of position again.
Raises.
Very nicely done.
To 2,800.
Can't blame the guy for raising ace-king.
Jen out. Queen Jack for Tony G.
And I have qualified.
Calls.
Fortunately, you may double up.
Maybe.
Phil once again the favorite.
Flop. King, ace 10. The nuts for Tony G again, and now Phil with top 2.
A disastrous situation for Phil Hellmuth.
I think this one, just take it, Phil. Don't even bother betting.
Phil bets 3K.
I was kidding you.
And Tony G raises.
See if you got the ace.
Oh my God, you're such an
I can fold this hand.
Don't fold it. Just stick it in.
Tony always talks, but he tends to talk more when he has it. Still, folding ace-king in this spot is definitely a losing play in the long run, especially with Phil's stack.
I got a flush draw, Phil. I'll be honest with you. If you want, I'll even show you one of my cards.
Maybe if he showed the jack of hearts.
I'm all in.
All right, cool.
Brutal.
I have a flush draw and a straight at the moment.
And a straight. Flop the nuts and look at this, both slow playing.
What are you slow playing here for? Just get it in. I mean, you know, how many times do you want to run it?
One's good.
I'm happy to run it 20 times. To have you like down on this.
Maybe we should run it 3 times. I don't know. What do you think? 3 times?
Yeah, 3 times at least will keep you in the game.
Yeah, I would do 3.
I've been deciding badly lately on how many times to run it.
It's all the same.
I'll let you choose, Tony. How about that?
3 times.
Okay. Tony chooses.
I know, like the ace is coming, the first card. Ace
I
from
know.
space.
I ran it once, like the last 2 or 3 times, and every time I missed. So
I want to keep in the game. That's why I want to run it like 8 times. You're going to catch one of them.
Phil is drawing live.
There's Phil's coach, Lane Flack. He's left the green room. He's going to get a better look at this one with Amanda on the couch.
Your boy's all in with the worst of it right now.
Yeah, I just saw the hand.
Yeah.
There's the coach. He's in. You see the coach is there. Go and give him a massage. We've done it 3 times. He's been owned 2 out of 2 sometimes. The statistics are 100% owned by Tony G.
yeah, you've really been out
Pots
playing.
played, 100% owned.
Working on a graphic for that right now, Mr. G.
I think Phil needs you.
He does need
I think Phil needs an ace or a king.
Dynamite call, coach. An ace or a king would make Phil a full house.
And then if Phil goes, then I need you. I'm his second.
Lane, I should just run it once, right?
Once or 3 times.
Once or 3 times.
We agreed 3 times. Don't go back on your word now.
3 times is fine.
So they're going to run it 3 times with the winner of each run taking a third of the pot. Turn number 1. Phil makes a boat.
Oh!
Told you that ace is coming. I knew it.
Did you peel it off right away?
Yeah.
Still, you feel good, right? At least you're going to be in the game. I mean, you could have missed out every time. Give him one more ace to get the aces out of the way.
Ouch, if Phil had run it once, he would have won the whole pot. And now,
not.
Every time on the show, I've been wrong.
Yeah, you
Every
kept
time I've
saying
said
one.
to run it once,
Once.
I've been unlucky. Like the last 2 shows. Every time I've decided to run it 3 or 4 times.
River one's a king.
And the king.
Oh,
Beautiful.
Sucks. Oh, that sucks.
That's being overqualified, Phil.
Phil will take down a third of the pot, but he loses one of his outs with that king on the river.
I mean, for all his bad etiquette and behavior, they peeled an ace for me. Like, I knew it was coming, too. He slow-rolled me. He's been, like, as bad as you can be. And, of course, they peeled an ace. I should not have run this 3 times.
I feel terrible, Phil. You're making me feel guilty. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I've been bashing up on you.
Tony, that's just you, Tony.
Sorry.
We all know that.
And imagine you're trying to take me on all the time. It's time to retire.
I'll play with you all the time.
Turn number 2, deuce of diamonds, no help to Phil.
appropriate. Tony's acting kind of deucey.
That's so sick. I had to run it 3 times because I wanted to keep playing.
At least you didn't run it 5 times. Think about it. That would be terrible. You still got outs.
River number 2. Jack of spades, Tony wins.
Wow, how close was that?
Not really all that close.
And Tony will take a third of the pot worth almost 22K.
1 run to go. Phil's got only 2 cards that'll save him.
Turn number 3, 7 of hearts.
My flush. It's a flash.
Hearts won't matter if Phil boats up.
Here comes river number 3. Tray of spades, and Tony G gets 2/3 of the pot.
Unbelievable.
It's just
unbelievable. It's just so scary how bad I run on this show.
Yeah, you're gonna have your basically your money back. You're fine. And you're gonna lose a little bit. Tax. You're gonna pay tax, the Tony G tax, and just move on to the next hand. It's not even painful.
The 3 certainties in life are death, taxes, and Phil Hellmuth getting his lunch eaten on the big game.
So Phil lacks the heart and commitment to run it once. He's down to just under 22K.
Well, that stack's looking smaller.
This goes to Mr. Tony G.
Thank you.
Dealer's a Tony G fan, I guess.
Tony G continues his assault on the table. Through 16 hands, he's up over 115,000. And the big game continues to get the best of the poker brat.
You're better off with a small stack because it's more your game, so you feel more confident and you're under less pressure.
Do you ever stop, Tony? I mean,
I do.
Really?
Once you're out.
As promised, the verbal warfare between Tony G and Phil Hellmuth has been legendary.
I beat you every hand, Phil. I beat you over and over and over and over. You're destroyed. You can never get your money back.
Tony, you are a real beauty.
I own you. You understand, Phil? I own you.
And poor Jennifer Tilly has been caught in the crossfire.
Oh my God, I feel like I'm in the eye of a hurricane. But it's pretty entertaining. It's like I get sort of the bird's eye view. I just, hope I don't get hit by flying spin.
Yeah, guys, say it, don't spray it.
I think Jen's gonna have to shut out the noise. Through just 17 hands, she's already lost over half her buy-in.
I'm just gonna play a little, put chips in every now and then to look like I'm playing, Get a little camera time, think a little bit, and then fold. That way I'll make my stack of 50 last, through 5 days. No crazy bluffing, no.
Yeah, just play good poker.
Yeah,
play
yeah.
good, honest poker. That's what Phil should do too. then you would last longer. Like if you didn't go all crazy with that first hand, you would be having a nice stack and kind of enjoying yourself now. Not feeling under pressure, just blinding, drifting away.
Dude, I feel completely zero pressure. I don't know why do you keep...
Because you've given up, right? You've given up.
I'm not like you, Tony. I don't get down to 20,000 and give up. I fight to the end.
I don't
That's
give up.
why I am what I am.
I never give up when I have 20,000.
Well, then why did you think that about me?
Well, because you're not reloading.
I raised the next hand against you, the second hand. I had ace king
but
the
you
second
should be
hand. I
reloading.
thought you were going to try to give it to me
You're
with 9-10
embarrassing
again.
yourself by not reloading. That's what I think you're doing to yourself and your fans.
Tony's mad he can only get what's in front of Phil.
Hashem straddled, so it's on Ken.
Because your fans are disgusted.
We are disgusted by how bad he runs, which reminds me, I gotta get the newsletter out.
Tens for Tilly.
My fans love me, Tony, which is great. They didn't in 06 and 07, but now I have their love, so
They
I'm
didn't love
happy.
you in 06 and 07. What did you do in 06 or 07?
Tilly raises to 1,200 over to Tony G with Big Slick.
I'll raise the pot.
Raises to 5,400.
It's the second time tonight we've seen Tony repop Jennifer.
Barbaro folds. Hashem in the straddle with ace-4 of spades. Folds.
Tony 3-bet Jennifer before when he had ace-king. I think she's more likely to give him credit now, but 2 tens is a big pocket pair and certainly worth taking a flop with.
Then she will.
Hashem folded an ace, so Tony's going to be a little worse off than normal.
Tony G and Tilly to the flop. 9-8-9. Tilly still best.
I'll make it 9. 2 9s, I'll make it 9.
Tony continues.
Ooh! If I run it once, I'm back to 60.
We gave you 3 times advice, sorry.
Oh, no, it wasn't you. No, it wasn't you guys. What's up? I ran it 3 times because Tony G, because I was going to let him choose. Because I've made the wrong decision on the show every time.
Right.
I wanted to run it once, but I wanted to run it once the last 2 times and lost on the show.
Phil's consistently made the wrong decision on this show, but right now it's on Jennifer Tilly with a decision to make.
Facing a 9K bet from Tony G.
I'm all in.
She's all in.
That is not good. All in is not good.
Good for me. Thanks.
They're back in the saddle.
Back in the saddle.
So Tilly's aggressive move helps her add 15K to her stack as she takes down her 3rd pot of the night, boosting her pot's won percentage to 17%. So far, Tony G has been crushing the table, though, raking 44% of the pots. That's a whopping 8 of 18 hands played.
And it should come as no surprise that Tony has come out swinging. For players playing at least 300 hands in the big game, the G is the all-time VPIP leader. Tony's played more than half of the over 600 hands he's seen. He's known for bringing massive buy-ins and tons of action to the table. One side note for all you members of the Bill Perkins fan club, yes, he has a career VPIP higher than Tony, but he hasn't played over 300 hands.
Action will start on the poker brat. Phil Hellmuth having a rough night. 8 deuce of spades folds. Jennifer Tilly, jack deuce, she's out. Tony G with the 10 tray.
I lose. You gotta know when you lose, you gotta give up.
Raises to 1,400. Ace-5 for Nacho.
Not ashamed to lose like Phil. I'm not ashamed to fold in the river like Phil is.
Nacho calls 1,400. And Hashem's out. Rankowski, the cannon, pocket queens.
Let's see how the cannon does in his first OB 3-bet spot.
Raise.
He's going to OB 3-bet to 4,500. Tony G calls.
I got a defensive hand.
So that's what you call it.
Barbaro out.
Hopefully that ace-king holds up for you. I worry about him all the time.
Man, is he terrifying.
King 9 jack on the flop, 2 clubs.
Tony flops a gut shot, which is hard enough to make, but Ken's got 2 of his outs. Ken's got a gut shot as well. He may be a little afraid of that king, but he should continue here.
And does bets 8,200.
Nice bet. Tony with only 10 high.
You're gonna fold ace-king? Could have 10-queen. I don't.
Tony G folds, and Ken's going to take down a nice little pot.
Nice hand, Ken.
Thank you.
Ken's playing careful, squared away poker.
Just like his careful squared away wins or not.
So the loose cannon ex-cop Ken adds 6,700 to his stack. He's still got a long way to go to catch Italian Max Martinez for the NAPT passport. Hope he has some hookups at Interpol. Back with more poker right after this. Welcome back to the big game from Las Vegas, Nevada, alongside Joe Stapleton. I'm Scott Huff, and guess what, folks? It's Couch Cannon time. That's where you at home get to play along by seeing only the loose cannons hole cards.
Remember, Ken's a former cop, so now he's chasing the nuts rather than donuts.
Barbarro's out.
My skills are not very smooth.
Hashem raises to 2,300.
We all learn from your greatness at the poker table, Tony.
Thank you very much, Phil. That's a nice compliment.
Tony, that really wasn't a compliment.
Pocket queens for Rankowski again.
Definitely looking for a raise.
So you're getting there now. You're starting to mature. Like a nice cheese. Look like a cheese a bit. A chewing gum. I'll bring you some nice cheese to put into your ears.
Phil is from Wisconsin.
Raise to 5.
Ken 3-bets to 5K.
I'd like to see a bigger raise, but he's in position, so whatevs.
What are you doing, Ken?
Action back on Hashem.
Thought we were gonna be friends.
Makes the call.
I haven't played a pot with you yet. This is gonna be good.
Just you and the world champion.
Hey, Phil's a world champ too.
10, King, Jack, couple of clubs, and overcard hits, but Ken with a straight draw now as well.
Go ahead, sir.
And Hashem checks.
This board might be kind of scary for 2 queens, but I think Ken could bet it if he wants.
Yeah, check it.
Checking behind, fine too.
Turn 6 of spades.
Ken's hand does not improve.
And now Hashem fires at 7,500.
Hopefully Ken checked the flop in order to give Joe the opportunity to bluff at this turn. So Ken shouldn't necessarily fold right away, but also I don't think it's a very good spot for a raise. Hashem was the initial raiser. It's possible that Ken's beat, but his hand is too strong to lay down to just one bet, and even if he is beat, he still has outs.
Ken will make the call.
I don't hate this spot for Ken right now, but obviously we'd all like him to improve.
River, 5 of hearts.
Well, Ken didn't improve, and I'm afraid of facing another barrel on this river.
And Joe is reaching for chips. How big will the barrel be? 12,500.
Even though I don't love it, this is a pretty clear call mathematically. Ken's getting 3-1, which means he only has to have the best hand less than 1 out of every 4 times to be a winner in the long run. Still, 12-5 is huge for an amateur to make this call.
I call.
Thought you were never gonna call.
What does Joe have? Jack 10 for 2 pair.
Whoops.
2 pair.
Good hand.
Is that good, Ken?
Yeah, it's good.
So he had you on the flop.
Yeah.
Ah, bad luck. That's poker.